No, 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 no! Ah!
Hi, this is Dale Lear, designer of TRS-80 Color Baseball, and you're listening to CoCoTALK.
This is CoCoTALK, the only show in the world featuring David Ladd. It's time to grease your weasel and do whatever yo please'll, cause we're about to rock your 8-bit world. All right, we're here. The show has begun. And we've already got some early birds out there. Sixy is out there. Kevin Holloway is out there. Half the panel is out there. On the Twitch, on the YouTubes, on the Facebooks. They're out there. We're here. Let's say hi to our panel another week. Oh, Amigos Retro Gaming just showed up there. Hello, Amigos. Boat, Aaron. Retro Rewind CA is out there. My goodness, it's just a star-studded audience at this point. David Craker is out there. Yes!
At this point, we just swap, let them run the show, and we'll work.
Yes. So on our panel, we have some of the regulars, some of our usual suspects. Our resident Apple guy, the guy who puts links in the chat and moderates and monitors and all those good things. Mr. Mark Overholzer is here. Hey, Marco.
Glad to be here, as usual.
He's from Canada. He does our Game On results and has his own little thing going on YouTube. Ken Waters, a.k.a. Canadian Retro Things, is here.
Oh, hey, that's me. Hi.
How's it going, eh?
Yeah, good, eh?
Oh, it's a beauty, eh? And Tom Eric Gunderson has just joined us, along with Jim Rye. Also from Canada, our foreign correspondent, news anchor, and fan of Nitrous 9, L. Curtis Boyle's here. How's it going, eh?
I'm more than a fan.
Welcome,
everyone.
You are.
He liked it so much, he built the operating system.
I'll rebuild.
Like,
gets credit for the original.
Who was the guy? Was that guy? What was it? Gillette or Schick Ragers or one of those guys?
It's Victor Kayam and Remington Razor.
Remington Razor. I liked it so much I bought the company, huh? So yeah. Looks like he's on a very important phone call right now. I believe this could have something to do with, I don't know, the price of gas or something important like that. But Mark Bosley is our backup streamer and engineer. He's back there doing important things. We have our CoCo Fest representative, Storm Chaser, and my roommate / snuggle buddy when we go out of town on these events. Grant Leedy is here. How you doing, Grant? He's muted, but that's okay. He sounds better that way. He looks better in the dark, and he sounds better when he's muted. It's Grant Leedy, everybody.
All right, there we go. I'm here now.
So he's your strong, silent snuggle buddy.
Just want to say hi to everybody, and don't forget, we do lose an hour tonight.
Oh, my.
No, we don't. Oh, you guys do.
Yeah.
This guy's got his own website that has keyboards and network adapters and cables and all kinds of whoozy what's. It's Rick Euland's here. How you doing, Rick?
Hey, it's 12 degrees out. Can spring be far away?
Ooh. He's in Arizona. He's got one of them there telescope thingies, and he's also got a garage. It's Rendezvous.
Yeah, he waved at the camera. He said he had to go away for a little bit. I don't know if you caught that, so I'm not sure if he's back yet.
Another one of our chat moderators, and also helps out welcoming people to our Discord server and so many other things behind the scenes. Alan Murphy's here. Hey, Alan.
Howdy, everyone.
And there's a guy who makes games. Many of his games are cheap knockoffs, but all of them help fuel those Ferraris. The Thunder from Down Under, Nicholas Morantes. Good eye.
Hey, that's all the regulars out of the way. Now for the irregular. Hey, everyone.
I don't see David Ladd on the panel. What are you talking about?
So there we go. There's our panel introductions. We We also did a kind of, since we don't have an interview this week, but we do have one next week. Matter of fact, we'll do it again on the commercial break, but why don't we go ahead and tease next week's interview here real quick. So hold on one second. We're going to do that, play that promo.
AJ, want to do something fun on March 19th?
Is it more fun than playing video games with you?
A little.
No. Just kidding. Of course I want to do something fun.
We're going to be on an interview show.
Ooh, is it going to be Ryan Reynolds interviewing us?
It's going to be L. Curtis Boyle. And they're both Canadian.
I love L. Curtis Boyle. Count me in.
So on March 19th, tune in to the CoCoTALK podcast on YouTube at 1 p.m.
And you can find out about our show, Sibling Rivalry, and get all the hot and juicy details.
Why is it always juicy?
There you go. And
All
here's
the hot chicks drink cocoa.
yes. Here's to our sibling rivalries here. A little cocoa sippy here for you. Oh yeah. So that's going to be our interview next week. So we're going to hear about the sibling rivalries and their whole experience doing that stuff.
We'll be hearing a bit about it today because they released a new video for another CoCo game.
So. Wonderful. We've also been joined by Scott Cooper, Tasman, in the live chat. Hey, Scott. And so last week we just did a little thing before we went into the results because we don't have a guess or anything. Like, what do you want to call it? The potpourri discussion of whatever happened this week. This is not necessarily project updates and acquisitions, but anything happened this week that you did that maybe you want to chat about for a brief moment. I had the pleasure of paying $1 more per gallon for gasoline on Friday when I had to fill up, so that was always fun. I don't know about you guys. Anything else exciting happened this week with any of you all on the panel? Wow. Real showstopper there, huh? Dead silence.
Nope. Just busy with
boring.
work, and that's the same thing I've been saying for a month. So
Put the brakes on that segment real fast, right? That one just that thing it just crashed harder than a
Nightmare Highway.
You've got to tell us ahead of time to do something interesting.
yeah. So.
I mean, Rick can promote his online store and stuff.
Yeah. He can. You might as well, and then we'll get into that again. Hopefully, when we do our project updates and acquisitions, because Round Delvo got something from your store. You want to do that real quick? You want to tell us about your website there, Rick?
Well, basically, ComputerConnect.com is my old Connect store that I used to, please allow 4 to 6 weeks for delivery through the mail from. Except I don't have to Xerox a whole bunch of flyers and send them out every month. So that's working out well. Of course, I've got to now learn how to manage a website, which is a whole new thing.
Right.
But in any case, we're starting to delete the cheesy photos and put in more actual content. Got a little blog section where I hype my products and explain how they work. And
okay, blog section. Oh, key fix Mylar keyboard replacement, which we'll be hearing from Ron Delvo. He posted that on Facebook too. So that's cool.
You can go here and read more about what I'm trying to sell and do you want it or not. And
there you go.
Yeah, and we should mention you've got not just stuff you manufacture yourself, but you're also selling like old software.
Yeah, we've got CoCo ROM packs. We've got CoCo 2 discs. Some of them are still sealed or opened, and you note the condition. But so there's a lot of new and old new stock or new old stock, whatever you want to call it. Stuff you can get for CoCo 2, CoCo 3, CoCo 3 discs. You've got pages of this. Tandycolor 3 Multiview, Color Computer 3 OS 9 Dynacalc, Home Publisher, Phantom Graph. You got tons of stuff here. So yeah. So this is a website of many splendors, right? So that's cool. So Computer Connect with one N, that's Rick Yu's site. I'm looking forward to getting that new clicky keyboard Mylar replacement. When you get the CoCo Connect network adapter working, I'm sure a lot of people will be interested in doing some fun things with that. I know you demoed some of that at CoCo Fest last year. You had a website running on a server and that you pulled up on a CoCo, so that was kind of cool.
Yeah, we are narrowing that one down. I actually have a CoCo that doesn't work with my adapter in it. So I now have the main thing I need to figure out what's wrong with it. Because it seems like 4 out of 5 work. Why does the 5th one work? Okay, well now I've got a computer that it doesn't work on, so I can scope it out and figure out what the heck I'm doing wrong or it's doing wrong. Or
there you go. Very cool.
It should be, my goal is by the CoCo Fest, all of these things should be done, and I should be on to new things.
All right. Tim Franklin has joined us. Hey, Tim Franklin, how you doing? So yeah, a little plug for Rick Yu's website there, Computer Connect with one N.com. Check that out. We've got a number of computer vendors, and you also have on there the fact that you will do repairs. So if somebody wants to contact you for repair, like a 6309 upgrade, things like that, they can contact you to arrange for that service.
Exactly.
That's one great thing about coming to CoCo Fest is there's usually a handful of handymen there with their soldering irons that can help with these repairs and upgrades, and you can do it on the spot. Don't have to worry about shipping and this and that and the other. Yep. So I remember Sloopy was busy doing stuff. I know Mark O was doing stuff. Rick can do some stuff. Then we've got Cloud9 there. There's always a handful of people who are handy and willing to help out in that regard. So cool stuff. A little plug for CoCo Fest, and since Grant Leedy's here, it's in my contract that I have to do that too.
Yeah, it's great. It's great having that kind of a service where you can actually do it on site, because a lot of people are nervous. Like, they've only got one CoCo, it's working. What happens if it just gets damaged shipping? Nothing to do with the person trying to fix it, but if it gets, we've seen horror stories of stuff shipped up through eBay and stuff where like the case is cracked and motherboard's cracked and you can't really fix that. So bring it in person. You can watch them do it. Not too much, because it might make them nervous, and then they'll fix it for you right on the spot.
Yes, that's one of many good reasons to come to CoCo Fest. All right, well, I think we've spitballed enough here, enough filibustering and philandering here, and meandering and loitering. How about we just get on then to most popular segment of the show, the High Score Challenge and Game On Results segment. We played a very interesting game this week, an Omega Race style game. I don't think we have a game-inspired CoCo Thought, so I dug deep into the archive and I just pulled up one of the many greatest hits from the CoCo Thoughts collection. So we'll start off with a little CoCo Thoughts, we'll get into the results, and then we'll share our thoughts on that game. And here we go, boys and girls.
And now, CoCo Thoughts by Samuel Gimes. Some people wish the CoCo came with hardware sprites. I don't understand. Why not pixies or fairies?
All right, everybody, get ready for the Game On Results with Canadian Retro Things. You guys ready to get your game on?
Welcome, everybody, to the results of this week's CoCoTALK Game On Challenge of the Week, where we played Space Race. There were a total of 20 participants. We had Ron Delvaux with 300, Pedro Pena with 1,300, Taylor from the Taylor and Amy Show, 2225, Mark B, 2425, Amy from the Taylor and Amy Show, 3,900. Mr. Dave 6309, 4,600. Brian Walsh, 5,000. David Craker, 5,400. Marcy with AC's 8-Bit Zone, 5,600. 8-Bits in the Basement, 6,625. Gary M, 9,000. Rich N, 9,200. Kathleen, 9,400. Jim Rye, 16,625. Canadian Retro Things, 19,150. Tom C, 22,925.
These are some good scores.
Sloopy Malibu, 30,775. AC's 8-Bit Zone, 41,875. L. Curtis Boyle, 47,675. And the number one score this week was Tasman Scott Cooper with 55,850. Thanks to everybody that played, and we will see you next week.
All right, congratulations, Tasman Scott Cooper. That's a phenomenal score. I just started playing this morning, so I had got it fired up on the CoCo Pi. It's very hard to play on an Xbox 360 joystick, and then I went switched to keyboard, which is a little bit better, but not as responsive. I think my best score was about 1,800, so I was in the really low end of the spectrum. With the,
some of those upper scores were definitely very good.
Oh, absolutely.
Actually,
and you definitely want an analog joystick for this one because you don't just have 8 positions; you have many.
Yeah, that's what I was noticing on the Xbox 360 controller, the Xbox style controller I had on my CoCo Pi. Somewhere I've got the USB to CoCo thing that somebody had sent me years ago. I just can't find it, but I'm looking forward to being able to plug. I have real hardware, but it would be nice to be able to plug CoCo joysticks into CoCo Pi for some quick and easy CoCo gameplay. I just got to find that doohickey. And that's the second best thing to have in a real CoCo, right? Would be a CoCo Pi with CoCo joysticks. Cool. Well, I'm not sharing the screen, so I don't know if there's anything you need to share,
well,
Mr. Things.
How about we take a look at some reviews?
Oh, my.
There are a number of reviews for this.
Okay.
I will start with the worst one, I think. Hot Cocoa from September of 1983. This author found Space Race to be a poor game.
The keys are too widely separated for easy control.
Yeah, and there's 16 skill levels with very little difference between them. I don't know, Curtis, you played on level 15
there's
during the live
definitely
stream.
differences between them.
And,
I would not recommend it was his bottom line, huh? What a douche.
Space Race difficult without offering the player the feeling of control.
I like it's when the action of the game is so fast it's hard to keep track of which key to press when.
Okay, so basically the guy's got 0 dexterity.
Basically the guy's like 105 and he plays chess normally. So
although I think it's a female. It's Beth Norman wrote this. I
just don't think they're really good at arcade games.
So on to a better review from Color Computer News. Well, actually, this one was just basically a hashing of what the game is. But a positive spin on it. The keyboard offers precision ship control and tactical play, while the joystick makes riotous whirling and careening race.
So the complete opposite of the previous review.
Yeah.
Well, listen, everybody's entitled to their opinion, and that's definitely what makes the world go round. But
you go back to the back screen, one screen earlier. There's a better game reviewed right above it. Defense.
Yeah. Didn't cover that one, so I didn't actually read that one. But anyways, this person, the thing they really liked about it is that when you bought it, they actually provided you with the starting, ending, and executing addresses, so you can make backups or move it to a disc, because this was a cassette game.
Yeah, it was later sold on disc too from Spectral, but initially it was cassette only. So,
not really saying out and out that it's a great game, but mostly positive in that one. And then,
did you see the shipping and handling is $1?
And what am I doing here?
You're trying to save a PDF file.
I know, I'm trying to get away
You're failing
from that.
miserably at it. So
absolutely. Now, Rainbow of April 83.
Ken versus Acrobat Reader. So far, score is 1 Acrobat, 0 Ken.
Yeah. I don't get this. If it's not an 8-bit computer, I get lost. So, okay. So this is the Rainbow of April 83. This person really liked the game. It's a winner for action lovers, and they got hooked on it. And generally, he didn't like shoot 'em ups. And the Karg, which is his kids and wife, loved the game. But the documentation could be improved because it is not presented in a very logical way.
Okay.
That's his only complaint. And he's a video game cynic, and the worst he can say is the instructions are illogical. So this is a good one.
Okay. Is his last name Spock by any chance? Okay.
So that is that one. Okay, now we also
Or
had
is Spock his first name? I don't even know. It shows you what a good Trek
just
fan I am.
Commander Spock. I think Commander's
Spock,
his
yeah.
first name. We did have share sound. Okay, so we had a. I'm stealing a little bit of news from Curtis here.
Copyright strike.
On the Taylor and Amy show, they got their CoCo SDC from Retro Rewind this week. So they tried it out, and one of the things they tried out was playing Space Race. And we'll just play a little bit of it here.
Jay. Ah! You're up here. Wait, you're that guy. How do you do things? You're the blue guy.
Now,
does anyone know? Your joystick is in the wrong place.
Oh, no! Joystick's in the wrong spot. So
You need a Joey joystick controller.
they actually turned the computer off to change it, but as Curtis mentioned in the comments, you can hot swap joysticks on the CoCo.
Well, better safe than sorry, right? When you're not sure.
I've done it for 40 years, never had a problem, never known anybody's had a problem. You don't need to swap or power off.
So, and they did have a little bit of problem with they figure it's their video cable, so fixed it with
She took a diving weight.
A diving weight.
Press
to
it
fix
down
the
so it
computer.
wouldn't disconnect.
But as you can see, they are playing on a Black Beauty. So
Black
that
Beauty.
is not a particularly easy way to play this game because having the self-centering deluxe joystick is much better. And because you just cannot plug Patrick Euland's website enough, you can buy a joystick.
That's right. The brand new PC Junior.
Brand new. If you can't afford the price of the $100+ Canadian that they're charging for the old 40-year-old Tandy deluxe joysticks on eBay, then you can get a brand new one from Patrick.
I got a couple of those beauties, and I'm a big fan.
And I have to say, Taylor's strategy here is one I've never seen before.
Oh, spinning in circles?
This is
just
the
hold down the
asteroid
fire
strategy.
button and spin around, huh?
Yep.
Yeah, this is the asteroid strategy.
Spin me right round, baby.
Looks like
right
Black
round.
Beauty abuse.
That is actually how I used to play asteroids.
She's holding that joystick like those memes of the ladies holding the soldering irons from the hot part, right? Sideways, the buttons on the side. Just
her hand was cramping.
it's like a hand crank joystick. It's like I'm trying to power this thing up here.
It's running one of those old.
I was
sirens.
surprised at how successful that strategy worked, though.
Yeah. So it's a great video. I do suggest going and watching it because, it's very typical in their style of a lot of mayhem.
Okay, cool
And
stuff.
funny. So that is that one. Now let's see. Now I will switch on to the live
coverage.
because I don't think Sloopy is here, is he?
Sloopy has left the building. Mark Siegel has stopped by. Hello, Mark Siegel. Good to see you.
So here we actually had a very good turnout for the live show this week.
Oh,
I
look
think
at that.
We had 5 or 6
You had a
players
good
all at
turnout,
once.
and you even had Curtis.
And-
You get to see my concentration face, which is just stupid.
Curtis figured he does not get enough airtime with the news, so he wanted his face on.
No,
the,
I was trying to
live
encourage
stream.
people that you can share your videos so you can watch the stupid reaction faces I do. Don't feel bad if you have ones too. That was just kind of self-sacrificing myself there.
But we got to watch Curtis get some fairly high scores there, which we were pretty sure was going to be the winner until
Tasman came in, huh?
Swooped in and stole the prize from you, Curtis.
Yeah, that's fine.
John Mounts has just joined us. Okay, Fractal. That must be either Taylor or Amy. I'm not sure which one Fractal is. Is that?
That's Amy.
Amy. Okay, hey Fractal.
Oh, that's.
It says we weren't taking any chances with the joystick.
Yeah, It was fun. It was fun playing this game. I will get into some strategy tips and stuff in a bit here. But one thing I totally had forgotten, because I literally have not played this game in 20 years. It used to be a favorite of mine as a kid. I just don't know why, but I've never really played it since. But I'd forgotten that after you get to the phase where you have to shoot them twice to kill them, that you sometimes get those screens where the walls disappear, it becomes asteroids on steroids.
Okay.
I totally forgot about that until it happened to be in the game, which means I lasted like 5 seconds. And it definitely speeds up. Like level 15 is basically as if you went through it speed-wise, because they definitely speed, especially that, what do they call the, what are the shapes called that Amy and Taylor used? That was quite...
there was the meatballs, the Tetris pieces.
Yeah, I called that one the semi-graphics piece, because it just came out of nowhere. It looked like a little semi-graphics block. But yeah, Tetris piece is a good name, too.
The block that poops out Tetris pieces.
The live commentary is hilarious. You got to watch the video.
Yeah.
So why didn't they put Space Race in the middle of that black box?
Yeah, it's some unused real estate there.
I would have. They were just they could have put the score and the men in the middle.
Because that never changes, right? That center box is always there, right?
Well, I guess it does disappear in the one.
Oh, okay. So I see what you're saying.
Yeah, I don't know if you can find where I. Did you have me ever zoomed up when I was on that section, Ken?
I don't know that you lasted long enough to get zoomed up.
Well, no, I actually won the one time. I actually made it all the way through, but I don't remember when that was.
I think when you came back in the second time, you might have.
Hey, DeBruce Moore has joined us. Hey, Bruce.
They should have put the score display in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah, but when the walls disappear, the whole screen, everything.
Yeah, then the whole screen becomes.
So unless you want to change the layout every time that screen happens,
right.
I kind of understand.
So that's probably why. Attack force completed.
Yeah, now you hit them, they hollow out the meatballs.
Yeah.
Now you've got hollow meatballs. Twice.
I'm just going back, just going through here.
Man, this was definitely a good 4 hours. You had 4 hours of you nut jobs playing this game. That's impressive.
I don't see anywhere where we actually caught you close up on the footage there. So,
because I only managed to clear that wave once, even though I made it to it, I don't know, probably half a dozen times or so.
I'm sure there is a couple of shots of you when you're in the small screen, but I can't. Scrubbing through it, I can't see anywhere. So. But yeah, so for tips and tricks on this game, don't die. It's
avoid
the
Tetris pieces.
It's very chaotic, and if you're going for score, actually getting it down to just the square block left and letting him poop out some of the Tetris pieces and killing them, they're the highest point value.
Okay.
No, but Ken, I can't remember how much are the meatballs versus the square boxes.
Now,
the meatballs are 100, the square boxes are 400, and the Tetris piece is 600.
Now, do we know anatomically, since we're not familiar with the physiology of that square box, is it pooping or is it possibly child rearing? Is it giving birth to these Tetris pieces?
You'll have to ask Amy and Taylor.
Yeah, we'll have to ask Amy and Taylor.
It could be birthing Tetris, but you could be shooting newborn baby Tetris pieces for all we know.
That just gives a whole new level of just wrongness.
Yeah, just wrongness. Right? but to be fair, the little bastards are shooting at us, right? So F them.
It's a lot more fun to think that you're just shooting giant turds that are shooting at you.
Yeah, I never did like Tetris anyway, so they all deserve to die.
Good times. Good times.
I don't know.
Anyway, I'll give some tips. So the box thing can both spawn mines, which are those little X's that show up.
Percent signs.
Those bombs will continue over to the next level once you clear a wave, which means you can run into them and die. So if you're near the end of a level and you've only got 1 or 2 things left to shoot, try to clear those out first, or clear them right after, because it does that little explosion long sound effect for a couple seconds. If you can kill off all the mines, then you don't have to worry about them on the next level. So that's a big strategy tip there, because otherwise you get too much stuff you got to dodge.
And don't try to collect those mines, because it will kill you.
Yeah, that was another Amy and Taylor inspired.
Yeah, the first time I saw that, it looked like a little dollar sign or something. I thought, oh, let me just pick that up, and boom, that was not
I think that they're thinking it might be a free man or something. So.
Yeah, look at this screen that's on here right now. This is just insane. There is so much stuff going on here. Lots of meatballs bouncing around.
Yeah. Curtis, any other trips?
Well, there's several. Since the box is worth 400, every time you kill a box when you still have meatballs left, as soon as you kill it, one of the meatballs will mutate into a box. So if you want to get high scores, you can just sit there and pick off the box every time, so you get 400 points versus 100 points. So that's another score strategy thing. The other thing is I see a lot of people just either stay in one spot or they fly, right around the space race, area, which I don't know why you call it space race, isn't racing. But what I find much easier is I just kind of like fly one direction, usually vertically or just horizontally, vertically off the start, and then let go of the thrusting part of it, and then just aim to the right and hold down the fire button. So you're doing a sweep, where you're kind of sweeping across or sweeping vertically or whatever. And then you just kind of take out in waves like that. And that seems to work much, much better. And I think...
this is the empty screen now.
Yeah, here's the empty screen. Found
it. Yeah, this is asteroids on steroids. Holy crap, look at that. Oh, and boom, it's over. Oh, no, okay.
Yeah. I only made it through once on that, so...
Wow. Yeah, that looked pure evil.
But here you can see my strategy. Like, I'll just kind of do a sweep and just keep firing, and then you just kind of, like, get around the... things there. So rather than flying willy-nilly where you have almost no control of what you're doing, kind of like and use the bouncing to your advantage too. Like I'll sometimes flap and bounce off the wall and keep doing the sweep firing, so I'm going up and down. You can also hug the center part, and then kind of like if one of the box or one of the other things is coming up slowly, if you're right against it, you can usually rapid fire and shoot it before it actually can get up to the level where it can shoot you, so you can just take it out. There's a bunch of little strategies. I was actually kind of remembering them as I was playing it. Like I said, I hadn't played it in 20 years, but I used to be pretty good at it back in the day.
Well, when it goes to full screen, do things just wrap around the screen?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Bullets wrap around, aliens wrap around, and the meatballs wrap around. I'm permanently calling the meatballs now. I think that's an
meatballs,
awesome idea.
Cheerios, lots of different names there. Yeah, cool.
And there is an axis on it that... if you stay on one side of the box, the little Tetris piece will follow you if it's on the other side, on the bottom. So if you go to the left, it'll go to the left. If you go to the right, it'll go to the right.
Yeah, so you can kind of steer him around, especially if he's in the episodes. It's kind of like the International Dateline and Defender, if you guys know about that. Because then you can kind of keep him at bay, the Tetris piece, because that's the worst enemy. Especially if you're up to like level 15 or if you've lasted quite a few levels, he speeds up a lot and he just tracks you down and fires like mad.
And the shooting AI on this is pretty darn good for the time, because it seems to be very good at anticipating where you're going to be and firing in that area.
Hey, Nick. Yeah. When you ask questions about this game, is it because you're getting angles for your new game that's going to be similar or different, or you kind of wonder?
Coming soon from Nick Marentes, a cheap semi-graphic knockoff of Space Race.
Space Race Part 2.
Well, you can tell he uses the red full byte blocks as border markers. So yeah, by taking the red borders away, everything there's no boundary.
Right.
Which means he could have designed the game to have different patterns on the screen then.
Well,
yeah,
he's following the arcade game more so, right?
Yeah, the original is just like this. It's
just vector based, yeah.
But I think with the engine he's got in there, he could have had
different playing fields.
Yeah, it could have got expanded on the original.
Sounds like a part 2 to me, Nick.
Yeah.
Well, that'll be my version.
Yeah. I mean, he was also trying to cram this into 16K too, so.
Crikey.
One of the early ones. I mean, this one came out near the end of 82, and I'm trying to remember, when did the original Mega Race come out? It wasn't it early 82? Like, this was turned around pretty quick.
Yeah, around there, 81, 82, yeah.
There's a lot of crap going on this screen right now. This is insane.
Yeah, it ramps up really fast. And apparently it gets even harder after 50,000.
It is a pretty well done arcade conversion, except for the sound.
Well, it's that standard spectral sound. They had the same sound routine they wrote, in 1981, and they just kept reusing it over and over.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it, right?
Yeah. But it's a fun game. It plays smooth. It captures the arcade pretty close.
It's fast. It plays fast.
Yeah. I mean, level 15, it kind of simulates if you're up at 50,000 points, because that's how fast the aliens start moving. Because the skill level, or the level of difficulty, is basically the speed of your opponents. Now, for anybody in the panel who's played other versions of a Mega Race on different platforms, because it was officially ported to a ton of machines, what is your feelings of this version unlicensed versus the official ones?
Well, I played it a lot on the ColecoVision myself, and recently I played it on the VIC-20, and it took some getting used to on the control scheme for this, because both of those versions had more of the asteroids control scheme, where left and right spins your ship, up thrusts you.
So, okay. Yeah, because this one, actually, it goes the direction you're pointing.
It goes in the direction
analog,
that you push the joystick, so it took some getting used to. I think that was my biggest hurdle when I first started playing this game, is I did a playthrough on my channel for like about an hour, and I don't think I got over like 4,000 points. So by the time the end of the week came, I was used to the control scheme and got a bit better score, but it took a while.
Really, the CoCo version would be the better control scheme.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't agree, actually. I like
you're wrong.
Scheme. I like the control scheme on the other one better.
Let me tell you why you're wrong.
just because I'm so used to playing asteroids, it was like, yeah, it was very asteroids-like in that one, and it was easier to bounce off the walls and turn your ship to fire at them and like drift sideways.
See, when I played, I can't remember if it was the ColecoVision or maybe the VIC-20 version I also played too, but the having to rotate your ship, like move it left to right to rotate, and you have to rotate, say, 180 degrees, it takes some physical time. This way I could just instantly flick the joystick and I'm facing the other direction. So to me, it was much more responsive, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
I guess that's a positive, being able to flip your direction.
And I did try playing this with a Black Beauty, because that's what I played it back in the day with, and I did get, I think, 17,000 points. But my Black Beauty, I found out the stick's a little bent, so it kept screwing me up where I was trying to center it. And I didn't notice it was bent before, but now I know.
Yeah, Scott Covers says he was hoping for more asteroids-type ship movement, but after he played for a while, the controls weren't that bad. So,
yeah.
Hey, Patrick, that might be a good thing for your business. Black Beauty pin straightening.
Yeah, there you go.
Put that on your service page, right? So yeah.
A sawed-off Black Beauty, so you can use it as a thumbstick.
Oh, that's what I used back in the day. That's when I used to average 60,000 points. That was awesome. Unfortunately, that requires the aluminum joystick, and I don't have any of those anymore.
Right. Yeah. No, I've accidentally made one, but
don't you drill a hole in your thumb doing that?
You just got to put a little thumb pad on it.
Right.
Well, like Rick, I broke mine once, and actually broke cleanly off, so it was just flat. And one of my joysticks was that, and that was the one I used with just about every game, because it was just like having a thumbstick,
yeah,
full analog.
It's like a sawed-off shotgun.
Well, there you go. Then you can do a thumbstick conversion.
Yeah, just buy all the ones on eBay, Rick, and just break them off.
The custom thumbstick version Black Beauty.
Yep.
Right?
Sand it a little bit so you don't get those metal shards in your thumb. That's good.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Are you ready to tell
us
what next week's game is going to be,
yeah,
Mr.
absolutely.
Things?
So this one, I think, was some people didn't like it at the beginning, but it turned out to be a good turnout for the game. People seemed to really enjoy it once they got into it. And
scripts it.
So this next one is a requested game from David Craker.
Oh.
And does anybody know this one?
Is this Zach Sund?
No, it's not. It's Skyway, isn't it?
That is exactly what it is.
Skyway.
Yeah, this was a tape magazine game, actually, one of the better ones. It has the perspective of Zaxxon, but you get to jump your ship.
Yeah, you're skimming along the surface, and you can jump and fire, but you can't fall off the platform.
Interesting title screen there.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember. I think it was Novasoft, like the Tomix cheap division first, and then they went to T&D when Tomix sold all their stuff to T&D. I had the T&D version way back when.
Interesting. Yeah, it looks kind of Zaxxon-y.
Yeah, it's the Zaxxon perspective. I just know it from L. Curtis Boyle's website, which
who's that loser?
A lot of reviews of some games on there, and it's
L stand for loser. Loser Curtis Boyle. Yeah.
You got it. Says, finally, somebody figured it out.
He says it's a Zaxxon perspective with different play mechanics. So,
hey, we've been joined by John Boat of Car Schaller. Hey, John.
Hey, everybody.
Hello.
Hi, John.
I've been absent for a while. I've had band activities. If you guys didn't know, I'm a band director, and the spring is the festival season in concert band.
You know, at first it sounded like you said band activity.
Band activity.
I was arrested. I'm not going to lie to you. I spent some time in the clink, but I'm back. I'm a free man.
Were you in
so
Facebook
got
jail?
To see you at work then, eh?
Yeah, I was in Facebook jail.
It suddenly got real exciting.
I waste my life for that exciting sometimes.
Yeah. That's the only time I get any exercise is when I'm in Facebook jail. It's when I get to work out. Right? So, cool. Good to see you.
Glad to be here.
Cool. So we have, what's the game called again?
Skyway.
Skyway. All right. I'm looking forward to that one. Hopefully that'll play okay on the Xbox controller. I can play it on the Pi.
I think that one works with a digital joystick.
So, okay.
It's just left and right, fire, and pull back on the joystick to jump.
Yeah, and you can jump over obstacles. You also have broken parts of the path you're flying through. You have to jump over gaps and stuff too. So.
David Craker just responded saying, "Thanks, Ken. Skyway is a fun game. Looking forward to getting back into it this week." Excellent.
So we're
back
expecting
into
David
God, he's
Craker
practicing.
will have
I'm
the high
screwed.
score this week.
Buck Owen says, "Nightmare Skyway." That's a good one.
Oh, I think Samuel Grimes' video for next week has written itself.
There you go.
There you go.
All right. So do we have, John, anything you need to update us on, or you just here?
Just along for the ride.
Oh, cool. Well, thanks for being here.
Well, you have announced the recording date for the next CoCo show, right?
Oh, yeah, and also the CoCo show. The next CoCo show is going to be recorded on March 26th at around 3 o'clock. We have a new episode actually coming out on the same day. No, I'm sorry, that's coming out on the 28th, and that is the Draconian episode. So if you missed the live recording of that, mark your calendars for the 28th. That's when that's going to come out on YouTube or on your favorite podcatcher app.
There we go. Promo.
Yeah.
All right, L. Curtis Boyle, do we have Game On related news?
Yes, we do. Imagine that.
Can you care to share that with us?
Only if you're good.
Okay. Too late for that.
How long will it be? So I know how long to
Yeah,
sleep
be
for.
forever.
And Nick Martinez wants to set his alarm. Ooh, 0 hour. I love the gears. Sounds like he's got the background music going pretty good on this, huh?
Yeah, that's the hidden sound chip in the CoCo.
Yeah.
I gave up on the 256 color mode. I figured there's got to be a hidden sound chip in there instead. Yeah, so, okay, alarm's gone off. I can wake up now. So basically, the game is finished. So hopefully in another week or so, it'll be available for purchase. So this is a short 5-minute promo video that just goes through, just quickly shows what the levels of the game look like.
Except one.
Except one. Well, yeah, I don't know if I've got them all in the video anyway, but yeah, I don't show that final level either, because I leave a bit of a surprise for people. But yeah, it's all come together. I've had Curtis has been testing it, and Buck Owens have been testing it as well, and located any bugs or quirks or little improvements. And I think I'm at a point where it is pretty well, in quotes, bug free, and as perfect as it'll ever get. So I figured it's time to release it and move on to something else.
This looks really cool.
Nick, is there inflation down there in Australia also? Are we going to have to get, financing to buy this thing?
No, well, no. The plan is it'll be available for download for $10, and if you want the CD and all that, it'll be a $20 one. So basically the same as what I've always sold them for.
What about a ROM pack?
Well, you can stick it in a CoCo SDC, and it's essentially in a ROM pack then. So.
Now, sometimes on your CD versions, you also have some bonus material. Do you have any for this?
Yeah, I don't have any this time because I've pretty well given out all the bonus material that I had in my previous game. So, yeah, I don't really have anything extra. It's just the game. So, yeah, I figured most people will therefore just get the downloaded version. But if you want to be a collector and get the CD with the pretty picture and everything.
So I was thinking one thing you could put on as a bonus. It's not something you couldn't get elsewhere, but maybe put your entire development blog.
Yeah, I didn't really update the blog that much this time round, so I don't know.
We still had, what, a dozen entries or something?
Oh, he got just zapped.
Yeah, I could copy it on there, but yeah, I don't know if it was as detailed as what I've done in the past. So
it wasn't, but I mean, it would be nice to have that, just available on the CDs.
Can you throw a donut at the robots here?
Not a donut.
Come on, man, you're making me hungry.
But this game does feature David Ladd, so that should make up for it.
Has that happened yet on the game? On your video here, I should say?
It does say it somewhere. Yeah, you do hear him say Brownie. But,
So, does it come with the level editor?
No, it doesn't.
And you can't really in this case because you have special sub mini games that are all a little different, so it's not one generic
you really
engine.
got to, even once you design it, you've got to actually code the game to know how to play it. And not only that, but it's very easy to create levels which are impossible with the level editor. It doesn't do any error checking. It's fine.
Oh, nuked.
Crikey.
You get the crikey at the end.
Crikey.
What was I going to say? I forgot now. I got over crikey. But that's
I can say a couple of things. I mean, you've got some 609 support, so it'll kick in NATO mode, and the game runs a little bit faster, smoother.
If you have a 609, yeah. So the game runs at a reasonable clip, but it's another 10% at least with the 6309. Yeah. So it uses the 609, but you don't have to have it. So it detects it on startup.
In fact, I think the video you recorded here, that's 6809 mode, isn't it?
No, I run it in 6309 now.
Oh, okay.
All the time, so it's pretty good. It's just slightly slower in the 6809 mode.
Hey, Nick,
still quite playable.
Nick, have you thought about doing something for CoCo Fest where maybe to have a contest and then the winner would win a bomb, not unlike on the cover there?
No, I haven't thought that far. We just
no, because then none of us Canadians would get back across the border. So,
yeah, no, I've just been busy trying to get it all out and finished, and just be able to start another game because so long, a bit of burnout.
But it looks real professional.
I feel a bit of burnout. So,
and one thing I will mention, one thing he added near the last minute, his request from me was actually he's added 2-button joystick support. So if you have a double button deluxe joystick, etc., then you actually can throw the EMP charges with the second button. Yeah,
the game was designed just all to be run off a single button joystick. because my Waiko, my digital stick, is only a single button joystick, and I figured, well, everyone will have at least one button, so I designed it that way. But you get some people, like Curtis,
whiny people like me,
who's got a bit of dyslexia, so needs to use that second button. So I put that in as well.
And I was inspired by that from John and Amigo Aaron, because they always talk about Amiga games where everybody designs it for a single button, even though it supported 2-button.
Wouldn't that look cool in Radio Shacks stacked with a whole bunch of them?
Oh, yeah.
You walk in.
I like the packaging there.
Yeah, can only go back in time.
Yes.
All right, we got a program to do that, haven't we?
You know what would be cool is if it come in the mail with a ticking sound inside.
Hey, yeah. Now these will be manufactured in the US, so anyone in the US, if they order the CD, they get it delivered fairly quickly. I go through that company Kunaki, and they produce the CD and the DVDs, so they're pretty good.
And if somebody wants to order this, they just go to nickmarentes.com.
Yeah, I'll be setting up a website this week, so hopefully by next week's show it'll be available for sale. Maybe I can make that an announcement on the show that the shop is open.
Ooh.
But yeah,
the sheep are ready to be fleeced.
Yeah, that's right.
So it is now 0 hour.
You know what we're gonna do?
0 hour,
we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna sponsor a giveaway. So I'll pay for a digital copy, and we can make it a contest where we can give one away to an audience member next week live on the air. I'm not sure how we'll do it, how we'll determine that, but we'll figure that out. So yeah, if it's ready for digital next week, we'll buy one as a giveaway.
Yeah, and for those wondering, it requires a 512K CoCo 3 and a joystick. 609's optional, 2-button joystick's optional. Of course, it runs on the emulators as well.
Yeah, and it'll work on a RGB or composite monitor. Actually, today I've got to test the composite mode because it works well in RGB, obviously, but I've got to make sure the colors are reasonable on the composite as well. So I'll be doing that today. That's the last thing to do.
All right, so Frank from Retro Rewind says make it 2. He wants to pay for one too, as he wants to sponsor
2 giveaways.
Yeah, okay. Go ahead, Curtis. What were you going to say?
That's what I was going to say. Because I
yeah.
saw the chat message. So
yeah.
Now the game's not overly hard. I have tried to tailor the game to suit the wider audience, and for most of us,
you said wider as in WIDER, right?
DER.
Yes, okay.
Yeah, that's right.
This was not a racial thing or anything.
For most of us, our reflexes are not what they used to be. So I figured not much point trying to write this game the way I used to, designed for an 18-year-old kid with good reflexes.
So are you going to have like a Geritol version for the old guys?
Someone who's a really good player will say it's a Geritol game anyway. So, but the game is more, it's meant to be more fun, a bit of puzzle.
A lot of exploring. Like the one good thing we've mentioned about it before is that you don't have to earn your way to get to the next screen. You can jump between them as much as you want.
Like in my last previous game, Gunstar, where you had to be a good player to see the very last level. And I don't know how many people did, but I think for the amount of work I put in to get that last level in there, very few people have seen it. So I thought, well, that was a bit of a waste, wasn't it?
I feel that way about so many developers. There are these rock hard games, and you watch these playthroughs online of people that are either gods or they're using a cheat to get through it, and you're like, oh my gosh, this was amazing. I wonder what percentage of people actually saw this.
That's right. And I didn't want all that work. I put a fair bit of work in trying to make the graphics look nice and everything, and I thought, well, there's not much point if most people can't get to the end to see it anyway. So in this game, when you start the game, you start in a foyer where you've got a lift with 12 access to the 12 levels, and you can get that one there, and you
and
can
that's known
go
as an
in-
elevator in America. For those of you who are not
an
familiar,
elevator.
so.
I call it a lift.
Lift.
It's not a wheelchair lift on a bus. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lift. Well, we call it both here.
Yeah.
But you can enter the room in any order you want, and actually the levels are randomized behind the door. So whenever you play it, you don't know what level you're going to go into anyway, because they're randomized. So you can go and see all the 12 levels anyway, just at any time. And not only that, but you can go into the level, and if you haven't got enough of the EMF charges, for example, to complete that level, you can walk out of the room and go into another one to collect more EMF charges, and then return to that level to finish it. So it's got a bit of that free movement type element of an adventure game type.
It's like a choose your own adventure. You're not restricted
Sort
to
of,
following
yeah.
the script.
It's sort of adventure-ish.
I think that's
the only
brilliant.
level
I think
you
that's a
can't
great thing.
see is the final level, which is that level in the top, which you can see is locked.
Okay.
So you've got to complete the 12 other levels, and then that door is unlocked, and then you go in and you have the final whatever.
So you've got the ability to see 12/13ths of the game, no matter what your skill level is.
Yeah.
And the real diehards will have to earn the way and get through all 12 of those screens in the same game to get to the 13th lock level,
Right.
basically.
And every level is a little mini game anyway. So in each one you play something. You have to. There's a. I mean, in all the games you've got to run around and dodge robots and disarm the security system, but in a lot of them there's also another game element in there that you've got to do, whether it be like this one here where there's a bit of jumping to do, but there's others where they are a bit of a puzzle as well that you've got to work out.
And it looks like there's not a penalty for how far you fall. There's really no falling damage.
There is.
But it's generous?
It lets you fall. It's generous, though.
Okay.
Yeah. So you are allowed to fall. Like if I was on that platform just above there, I could jump down onto the elevator. But anything more than that, and then I'd fall. So it is generous.
Okay. But it's not infinite falling.
Yeah. I don't want to. I didn't want the game to be annoying. Any mistakes are done by the user, I hope, in that they've jumped poorly or
Okay, right. It's not like it's a game cruelty, as I like to call it, right?
well, yeah, it's not entirely, yeah.
I know in my case testing it, it took me a little bit of time to get used to where your allowed jump height is. So I was dying quite a bit at the beginning, but after you kind of get used to it, then it's.
Let me ask you a question, Nick. Is it more difficult or is it easier to code in jump height deaths to a game versus none?
Well, in this game, it's very easy actually, because I've designed it so internally it's actually flexible. I could make it vary the jump height very easily, but I've set it to 9 scan lines. After that, it then says, okay, you're going to die.
And
But,
is there a way? I mean, is that a multiple of the character sprite? I mean, is there a way that you can eyeball it?
No. It actually goes by in this game. It goes by a scan line. It counts the scan lines, and in one of the levels in particular, the EMF chamber one that the names don't pop up in this video, but there's one whereby I do turn off that check. This one, when you're in that green area of the screen, you are allowed to fall the entire depth.
That's what I was wondering, because I remember seeing this in the scene. He seemed like his falling was extremely generous in this case here.
That's right. This game is basically a remake or whatever of my Gem Hunter game or Waterfall. It's a mini game of that, and for that I just turned off the counter for the fall, and he can fall all the way down, except of course when he reaches the very bottom of it, it then says, okay, you've hit the bottom or the top. On that level you're not allowed to go to the very top either, it then kills you.
Well, let's say I play this to the end, which is probably rare or never happens. But let's say I do, and the last screen is the you win screen and everything. And then I go to grab my camera and it's gone because it's only on for like 4 seconds.
No, but I accounted for that. When you do, actually, you'll see it at the end of the video. When it gets to the end and it does its end screen, whether it be the bomb blowing up or whether it's the win screen, it actually stops there and says, press any key to continue. And that I did that on purpose so that, you can run out and get your camera to take a snapshot of the screen.
Okay, good.
Because this game, there's no scoring in this game. So there's no hot, if you look at the end of this, because this is where the timer is about to run out, that's why it's flashing on the border. It's about to tell you you're about to die. The timer is going to run out. So if you look at the count down the bottom,
13, 12, 10, 9, 8,
spiraling
7.
down, and it says, okay, you're dead, and then it says this.
Boom. That's cool.
Oh, the sound is turned off at the moment.
Yeah.
But so it goes, does the end screen, and is the video? Oh,
now it's got
you
sound
paused
on.
it. Oh, here we go. He's turned the sound on.
Crikey.
The perfect place for that comment, wasn't it?
Crikey.
So it stops at that point, and it's the same if you win. Whatever the win screen will be, it'll stop there so that you can take a photo if you want to record. You probably don't want to take a photo of the timer being 0, but if you win, you might want to take a photo of the screen to indicate that I did this in, with the timer still having, X amount on the count. That's about the only sort of high score that you could base it on. Otherwise, there's no scoring in this. It's really just mission based.
It's neat though. Visually, the animations and all the stuff going on the screen, there's just a whole bunch of things happening. It's very much a feast for the eyes from what I can see.
Eye candy was an important aspect, yes.
Was that a digitized picture of an actual explosion, or was it artwork?
I used a picture off the internet. I just grabbed it off the internet somewhere, and I then converted the photo or whatever it was to a black and white, actually.
So we get no reds off the screen when it ends?
No reds.
Radiation.
Oh, radiation. No, you don't.
No, you get that from the green screen when you boot the CoCo up.
Yeah. So
it looks really good. There's always something going on. You get the gears are always turning. There's things that are moving. There's robots. There's just tons of stuff.
There's that whole background assembly line sound effect going too.
Well, I always try with a lot of my more recent games, I try to look for a technical feature that I want to achieve. Nothing to do with the game. I just want to pick a technical feature, an impossible thing to do, and I try to then model my game around that. So the technical feature was trying to do that background, that full screen animated background, and have that in the background while the game played overlaid in front of it. So that was the big technical feature in this game. And it worked out really well.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I could have added more. I think I've got 4 different patterns of the cogs, but I could have done more. There was no... It actually builds each level based on, what I designed. Like the cogs, it actually draws that background up and creates that background based on what I already designed beforehand. So the data for the cogs, I've got it stored in a table, and I've only got 4 tables in there at the moment. But I could have done, originally I was going to do 16, but then I thought Yeah, well, there's no real need to do that. So
while this game is playing, it's using, would you say, like 60% of CPU use as it goes along?
for the background, it probably only uses 1% actually. It's the routine is actually very efficient because of the way I've done it. It doesn't use up much CPU time at all, which is why the game can still play at its at almost the maximum rate, even though
and with
there's
two-channel sound,
and with two-channel interrupt-driven sound. Yeah. So yeah, that was the technical aspect. That was the real driving force behind making this game. Trying to achieve something that is deemed not possible on the CoCo. And
that's the second major reason. The other reason, of course, the main reason is to get another Ferrari.
Yeah, well, I've got 4 of them now, so it's the hunger for a Ferrari is not so high now.
Well, that's right. You were thinking of switching to Lamborghinis for your next car, right?
Yeah, I thought I'd be a bit different.
It looks amazing.
How hard would this be to make on another platform, do you think?
I don't think it would be too hard. See, one of the things
One of the things I guess I'm asking is because of the nature of our machine that's 8-bit, 16-bit. Do you take advantage of that? And could other people do it? But
you could say a computer like the Amiga could do it easily, but then that's a 16-bit computer with custom hardware. So the idea is, what other 8-bit computer can do that? So I'm not sure. Maybe the Commodore 64 could do it. The software technique that I've used in here, it doesn't use any of the hardware. I mean, you look at this thing and you think, oh, that must be the hardware in the gimme chip in the CoCo that's doing that. I don't use any hardware effects at all. This is all generally software only. So because it's not hardware specific, it could be done on another computer if you just do the same software techniques on that.
And so this is sort of you might say, the first kick at the cat. You could use this technique to do a much more sophisticated background now that you've established it and got it working.
Yeah,
and
you could.
Game in front of it with like a 3.5D graphics or 2.5D graphics, they called it, thing, and end up with a really sophisticated looking game based on this.
Yeah.
That you would as a Super NES quality thing.
It's possible. I mean, apart from the background, I think I've mentioned it before. I have that graphics engine that's doing all the sprites is the one that I used in Gunstar, which was the one I originally created back in 1984 on the TRS-80 Model 1. Actually, it goes right back then. I reprised it in Gunstar, and this has taken it a step forward to go to a more high-res display.
Sweet.
So, and I've added the background as well.
Yeah, that's a neat feature.
So the graphics engine is very flexible for creating sprites. I mean, it's surprisingly easy actually, compared to what I was doing, before this engine. Putting sprites on the screen is very easy. And as another sort of backstory, there is actually one more sprite in the game which I didn't use. There's a robot. If you remember my game Rupert Rhythm, there was a robot there which was like an eyeball, like a round ball robot, and it spun around. It looked really good, but I didn't put it in this one because even though the graphics and the sprite code and everything is all in there, and it wouldn't have been too hard to put in there, but I ran out of memory space for code actually. This game used up all the memory for the source code, so there wasn't really enough in there for me to do the robot, that other robot properly. So I decided, well, just leave it out and I'll save that robot for another game. So he's in there actually. It's very easy to implement. I could very easily just turn on that robot and just, move it around, but it was just no space left for me.
Cool. It is. I could sit here and stare at it all day. It's very mesmerizing.
Yeah, we're going to get one and play with it.
Yeah. So we need to, as soon as it's available too, we need to make that the game of the week in the near future too.
Well, once
probably within a couple of weeks, just to let people catch up.
Yeah.
They only catch a show once in a while.
Wait till it reaches 1 million copies.
Oh, okay. So 2 weeks. 2 weeks then.
Yeah. Wait until the Lamborghini is purchased, then.
Yeah,
that's right.
As soon as Nick can afford a Lamborghini and a Ferrari out of this, then it'll be the game on of the week.
All right. So what's next, Curtis? That is a beauty, though. That is an absolute beauty.
Okay, so back to regular Game On news, which actually I don't have too much of, so quick. So next up, our guests next week, Tim and AJ.
I like the coconut cup. I like that.
So I just to give a bit of a backstory, the previous episode 19, now they don't just do CoCo games, they do other systems that they grew up with. So previously they played an Intellivision pool game called Deep Pockets. And so this time they decided to play the color computer equivalent, which is 8-ball.
That's
which
another
is one
nickname
of those...
for Nick Morantes too, Deep Pockets.
I thought you were going to say cue ball or something. No, that's David Ladd. So basically what they did here is they played the CoCo version of this game, and they were kind of doing some internal comparisons to it. I know Tim said he prefers the game mechanics of this one over the Intellivision's version. And I will mention, too, this is one of those rare games that actually was sold as a cartridge by a third party back in the day, Antico Software, who also sold like the blank empty cartridge cases, molded and stuff for people to use. And I think some disc controllers and stuff, even in Australia, used them. I think Nick's actually shown some of them. But they sold 8-Ball, they sold Intergalactic War, which is kind of that 3D space trench game. Intergalactic Force, I should say. So there's a few of the games they did here. So this is their running of 8-Ball. So I'll play the first minute or two, and then we'll on the next one. There are guests next week, so if you have any questions on this game, save them for next week.
I like the music. 8-Ball. The Age of Aquarius.
Yep.
Aquarius. That was beautiful. Ooh, I remember this.
Sibling rivalry.
Oh, thanks, Tim. It's so good to be back. And that was a really beautiful opening.
Is that loud enough? Or?
The music was like so
Age
catchy.
of Aquarius.
Age
Was that
of
no?
Aquarius. That's my
No.
age.
So for
Yeah, you
those
can turn it up.
This is a YouTube program where me and my sister play vintage video games in a competitive context.
Yeah. I'm basically
Competitive.
attempting to relive my childhood and make good on all the times I lost by kicking his butt. So far, we're about 50-50, I think.
Yeah, that's right. You know, I should do an accounting though.
Yeah. Maybe in the
I'll show a little
comments
bit of
when
gameplay
you
here,
put
too.
this all together, you can press and hold. I want power, so I'm going all the way to the end and releasing. I got one in. Oh, is that 8-Ball going to go in? Oh, that.
So you got the solid and the stripes.
Am I going to
Yep.
do what I did last week?
Stripes being high,
So
solids
you
being
just took a
low.
ball. Did you see if it was a star or stripe?
I did not.
Oh shoot.
Count
Well,
'em.
it says you're high.
Count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stripes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So
you sunk a
I
stripe.
struck a stripe.
So you want to continue sinking stripes?
Oh, you're telling this because it's my turn still.
Yes.
Oh, well, very good, very good.
And for those who don't understand the mechanic here of aiming the ball, basically the short line is your cue stick, and the long line is the
direction it's going to go. Yeah.
And you got English, you can like hit the corner of the ball to give spin and stuff like that. And the power bars, you just hold down the joystick button.
There's a lot going into it. Boom.
I like that we
threading the
don't.
needle there, AJ.
We don't have to actually pick a pocket.
No, we don't have to pick
Thank
pick our
God.
shots in this game. This
Because
game is a
that's
little looser.
way too precise for me.
Yeah, the television game they played last time, the last episode, you had to pick the pocket. You had to say I was going to sink it on the top center pocket or whatever, and if it didn't go in there, it went in some other pocket.
Okay, yeah, that's like real 8-ball. You got to kind of call your shot before you make it, so it doesn't count. That's cool. That is cool. I remember playing this back in the day.
Yep, me too. And like I said, there are guests next week, so you can ask them about stuff in general, about the whole sibling rivalry, how that show started. What systems they had at home when they were both kids, what they're planning on doing with the show in the future, etc. So that's all next week. Next up here, it's a bit of an update here. Graham Major was asking, he couldn't get Caladriel 2 to play properly. And this is one that actually Aaron had shown Caladriel 1, the CoCo 1 and 2 version, on one of his live streams not too long ago. And it's kind of a different style of an adventure game / RPG. I don't really know what to classify it as, because you actually use arrow keys to move in smooth scrolling on that map, but you also have text commands that you get to type in. And this is the CoCo 3 only version, the sequel one, Caladriel 2. Now this one, unfortunately, the one on the archive, it screws up, and you can see disk error, bad file structure, press key retry. So they were going back and forth with one of the original authors, Jeff Noyle, who's actually in the CoCo group on Facebook. And they actually figured out how to strip the copy protection off, which has been a problem, and also get it to work properly, fully as a game. And so Guillaume has actually updated the archive with a new version of this now works properly, but he also updated a couple others that were also giving problems. So Those Darn Marbles, which is the CoCo 3 512K version of Marble Madness. That one's been updated as well. And Seventh Link, which is the CoCo 3 Ultima style game. So both of those are now, or all three of those are actually now on the archive that you can download. And if you have previous versions, those will not run properly. These also did not run in the emulator properly. So they've all been fixed up. So I've just downloaded them, and I might try to do some updates on my webpage, because I know Seventh Link in particular, I couldn't get it playing far enough to get decent screenshots except for the intro screens. And I do want to update that entry on my games page, because this is actually much more advanced than, say, Gates of Delirium or Paladin's Legacy, the Seventh Link, which is like a 3-disc adventure game. It was 4 discs. I can't even remember. It's huge. There's 4 different planets you have to travel to, all with their own indoor and outdoor maps and proper 3D dungeons and all kinds of stuff. It's a pretty advanced game.
Neat.
All right, that's a good update to get. So if any of you have these old ones, you just downloaded, say, the SDC big, monster collection thing. These have been updated since, so they should work properly now. So go grab those. And then the last one here for the Games On section. This is kind of a combination of hardware update and a Game On challenge thing. So Ken, I think you got this as one of the last scores you got. So this is Pedro Pena, known as Rocky Hill on YouTube, testing his daiquiri chip, which is a replacement for the salt chip. Now that chip helps control all the ADC, DAC stuff, which is like joysticks, sound. So he thought, a good time to participate in the Game On challenge with Space Race this last week would be also a good test for that chip to see if it's working as a replacement for the original salt chip from Tandy. So since it's only 3 minutes, I'll just play the whole thing, and then you guys can go to his YouTube channel and ask him any questions, or ask him in Discord too. So.
Okay, what am I doing here? I want to do the Game On challenge. I have about an hour, maybe 45 minutes left. But today I wanted to test the daiquiri board. Daiquiri board, manages, the joystick controls. So I want to test it, and I want to see if I can play this game, which I've never played before. Actually, I played it about 5 minutes ago. It is very challenging. But I wanted to see if I can play that game with the daiquiri board. The daiquiri board should read the input on the joysticks and will produce sound. So let's see if this works. Oops.
It looks like an Ed Snyder keyboard too.
I think it's a Mr. Dave one, isn't it?
Oh, okay. Is it? Just notice it's got colored keycaps. Okay. He's spinning all over the place, huh? He's a spinning demon.
He's come from the Taylor School of Space Race play.
New feature, the auto spin button.
Yeah, right.
But for those of you that have played the game, I mean, you can tell that the sound is pretty well dead on. So, and the joystick control seems just as good as the original Salt chip. So I think his daiquiri chip is
wow.
Proper
That was
working.
horrible. Let's give this another shot.
And because that's one of the chips that is not replaceable, nobody manufactures that anymore. The fact that he's got this pretty close to fully working means we have an option to replace it, not just like the Gimme X can replace the Gimme. So our chips that you can't buy anymore is growing smaller and smaller, and eventually we will be able to create a brand new CoCo 1, 2, or 3, and then not have any chips missing, and also have replacements for ones that died.
All right, 700. That's not too bad.
It works.
Yeah. So anyway, I won't play the whole thing, I guess, but he goes into a little bit of talk at the end there about the chip itself. But it appears to be working pretty good. So I think he'd mentioned there's one or two games that it doesn't quite read the joysticks quite correctly because some of those games use special tricks, kind of like we found the problem with Photon on MAME that Tim Linder had to fix because Jeff did a little tricky bit there for reading the joystick axis a few cycles faster than normal, or using settling chimes on the chip, etc. So, all right, that's it for the Game On news. You want me to segue straight into regular, or do you want to?
No, we'll take a break. We'll take a brief break, and then we'll come back with newsy news. Yep. So we have a Who's New to Discord. We've got a few other things like that that we'll play, and then we'll come back with some newsy updates, acquisitions, all that good stuff after these words. So everybody, it's potty time, break time, drink time, whatever you got to do. We'll be back in a little bit.
Hi, Retro Tech Heads, Data Soup here. You're watching CoCoTALK, the world's leading live talk show featuring the Tandy color computer and proudly Patreon sponsored by RetroTechTime.com.
CoCoTALK would like to thank the patrons who sponsor our program, so our heartfelt gratitude goes out to Alan Huffman, Alan Murphy, Blair Ledoux, Bolton Aaron, Brendan Donahue, Brian Weasler, Brian Walsh, Karen Anscombe, D. Bruce Moore, Daddy Burrito, Daniel Williams, Diego, Eric Canales, Glenn Hewlett, Graham Vebke, Grant Leedy, Henry Strickland, Jason Downs, J Style, Ken Reichard, Malfunct, Michael Pitsley, Mike Rayburn, Paul Fiscarelli, Paul Shoemaker, Paul Thayer, Retro Tech Time, Rick Hewlin, Rob Inman, Rocky Hill, Stephen Wagner, Steve Batson, Steve Rasmussen, Terry Steen, Terry Steggy, The Backyard Shed Gang, Tim Thayer, Tom C., Tom Gunderson, Tom Heron, Tom S., Tony C., and William Athing. Thank you ever so much, patrons.
It's time for everyone's favorite segment, Who's New to Discord This Week?
F15 Sim. My name is Gene, and I've got a pretty insane vintage computer collection, entirely by accident. Among the machines I have is a couple of CoCo 1s, a couple of CoCo 2s, and one CoCo 3. Patrick B. TTR. Patrick B. From Texas Tandy Restorations, waving from Houston, Texas. Like the name says, I restore computers from the TRS-80 series, mostly specialized with the Model 3, 4, 4D, and 4P series, but can repair CoCo occasionally. CR0SH. Andrew. I've been a long-time member of both the Multimedia Listserv and the FB CoCo group. I got my first CoCo years ago, okay, it was 1984. And I was 10 to 11 years old. I still have both my original CoCos.
S. Taylor. Ahoy. I am into all types of retro systems. I am part of a YouTube channel that supports our retro hobby. We were guests on show 251 of CoCoTALK.
Bit. Annihilator. My name's Matt. I'm really into everything retro, but if I had to put a finger on things, it would be the old 8-bit home computers and Unix systems. Don Taipan. Hey all. I'm Dan and have been into retro gaming since the 90s. In the last several years I have been more focused on retro computing. I started my CoCo journey last year with an eBay, as is CoCo too. The previous bios were edited for time's sake. Thanks to Melly, Boysantech, Paul Fiscarelli, Eric Canales, Terry Stagey, and the CoCoTALK patrons for boosting the server. Please consider joining Discord and visiting the welcome section to read these bios in full and see what the community has to offer. At discord.cocotalk.live.
AJ, want to do something fun on March 19th?
Is it more fun than playing video games with you?
A little.
No. Nah, just kidding. Of course I want to do something fun.
We're going to be on an interview show.
Ooh, is it going to be Ryan Reynolds interviewing us?
It's going to be L. Curtis Boyle. And they're both Canadian.
I love L. Curtis Boyle. Count me in.
So on March 19th, tune in to the CoCoTALK podcast on YouTube at 1 p.m.
And you can find out about our show, Sibling Rivalry, and get all the hot and juicy details.
Why is it always juicy?
From around the world, what you need to know. Get caught up on News with L. Curtis Boyle.
And now a Muppet News Flash.
All right, take it away, L. Curtis Boyle.
Okay, so onto the regular news here. So the first one is Wayne Aaron has posted a friend of his wife's named Wanda Cole is actually making some CoCo related t-shirts, and if you want to contact her on Facebook through the Facebook CoCo group on this posting that Wayne did, you can actually get them. So he's got one of them here, so it's kind of a quick little photo of it.
Will work for power.
Yeah, that was part. Rick Buellin, you might remember this too. Back in the '90s, I think this was part of the CoCo web ring, wasn't it? Wasn't it backward art pieces or something?
Vaguely familiar, but
okay.
Or it might have been on Marcus Bloomer's site. I can't remember, but one of them had this as a.
Yeah, I'm just not catching that reference there. Okay, but it's cool.
You have to be an oldie to remember that.
Okay, there, Shinny. What I loved at the end of that spot with Tim and AJ was, I love Curtis Boyle. Sign me up. I mean, how many people say that?
Obviously, you can tell how much they drank out of those coconut things before the show started to say something like that.
That's awesome. That is awesome. I'm looking forward to their interview.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. Okay, next up, Jim Brain announced that the Glenside Telecomputer Club is now officially recognized as a nonprofit organization. Most of the things that entails is just making it official. They were always kind of one. But there are a few things that have changed, and he kind of goes through them on this page, which I'll let you read, because if you're a member of Glenside, you probably should know this kind of stuff. But one of the things actually is that if you do donations for, say, the auction to Glenside, you can actually use that as an official tax write-off now.
Okay.
As a non-profit. So for the general call for stuff for the auction for the upcoming CoCo Fest in May here that Greg was talking about.
Grant Lady. Yeah. Greg, Grant.
Affectionately known as Greg.
Yes.
Is that you can actually write those off now. And there's some details, like if it's over a certain amount and you get official receipts, et cetera, et cetera. So I'll let you read the blog post because that's getting into like legalese stuff. But that just happened this week where it's officially.
I gotta say, as far as CoCo Glenside leadership, Jim Brain has done a lot. He's accomplished a lot. He's done a lot. So I just wanted to acknowledge that. That's not very often I would say something positive about anybody, but yeah, good job, Jim Brain, for just dragging this club forward. On all kinds of stuff. Getting the new website needed to be done. This official nonprofit status, simplifying the registration of CoCo Fest, having badges, all these things that we've been, saying it would be nice if we could do this, it would be nice if we could do that. In the past couple of years, a lot of these things have finally just happened, so all the planets aligned, all the years of effort have finally paid off. So cool.
And then I don't think I showed this last week. I might have mentioned it briefly, but the next it's a little bit late, and Stevie, you can attest to what'll happen there. But the next edition of the CoCo 123 full color newsletter is out, which has got a ton of stuff. There's articles in there, a part of a series actually by Rick Ewan. And
yeah. So this was the September. This was supposed to be released in September of last year. This was the autumn edition, and then we were originally trying to get it. And so we've been talking about doing the CoCo Art Gallery, which is a channel that we have in Discord, and putting that in a newsletter. I finally got around to doing that, so I started featuring some of the artwork from the CoCo Art Gallery, which is a channel in our Discord. So yeah, this is just later than late, and this is technically my last official newsletter because I have resigned from being the newsletter editor only because my time does not allow me to do it, and it's constantly late, and I'm just constantly tired of it being constantly late. So I need to become somebody else's problem at this point. So I enjoyed my run. I'd like to think I did some things, structure-wise to make it look a little nicer and, put it in a place where it can be continually improving. I'm proud of what we accomplished, but I just can't handle the commitment and the stress of always missing deadlines. It weighs heavy on me. So, but yeah, so whenever there was white space, I just threw in some pictures from our art gallery. There's plenty of content there. The cover art was done by Melly, who's the CoCo guy. I put him on the cover. We took some pictures from VCF Midwest. We got in there. Again, this was supposed to be released in September of last year. So this was some current events at the time. But yeah,
good news. You met Randy Kindig, who was our guest not too long ago.
Yeah. That's when I pitched getting him on the show and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, good newsletter. It's just been a struggle to. I think part of the problem is that the bar got raised, and then we created our own problem at that point because we have so much news that we're basically taking your news links and then massaging those into readable, printable news. And then that's a full-time job because there's so much news. So it's a good problem to have, but then this becomes another problem. So.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That's good news. There's some good articles in there. I know Alan Murphy's been doing stuff on sound.
Alan Murphy had, so the newsletter's not going anywhere. So we still want people to continue to contribute articles and program listings and other things. So you can send that to newsletter@glensidegcc.com. Send your content. I'm happy to be a liaison, but I just can't be the person where the buck begins and ends with because I have too much on my plate now to handle this as well. But yeah, it's been a fun ride. I'm happy of what we were able to accomplish, and I hope that continues.
Well, thanks, Steve. This is a good-looking thing you were putting together.
Yeah, it's fun. So, here's the news, right? So this basically, we start off by taking all your news links that Curtis throws together as news summaries, but then those then have to be looked up, and pictures have to be pulled, and screenshots had to be made, and so it just
and pick out the best ones, not just everything, because some stuff is marginal news.
So it just because there's so much news now, curating that. So Alan Murphy has been curating the news, but then needing to get it formatted and put in and everything else. It's very time consuming. And for me and my work schedule and everything else, it's got to be too hectic for me to stay on top of this in a regular way. But yeah, so this is the latest one that was just released recently that should have been released last year. so like some of the plugging of Nick's game in progress and things like that. But yeah.
Yeah, so it's what, 77 pages or something like that?
Something like that, yeah.
It's a nice big one, and that's one thing that's happened. I mean, they're only quarterly, and I think they have only been quarterly for quite a while, but they used to be like 10, 20, 25 pages, and now this is like
right. And then, so then the question came up because it was a while ago, the idea of trying to create a new Rainbow magazine was thrown around, and some efforts were made in that direction. And again, everything it's hard to sustain and maintain things, but rather than focusing on a new Rainbow, I think the newsletter is edging its way to becoming more magazine-ish, and in the right hands, this can continue to grow and flourish.
Wait,
and this can be the next Rainbow,
Can you go up a little so we can see his garbage can?
Oh yeah, Nick's garbage can.
There's a garbage can, right? So
it's much more important than his 0 hour. So
yeah. So I think the idea of the newsletter or the Rainbow, whatever it is, a periodical. I think we can still hopefully have a good periodical here at the Glenside newsletter with ongoing submissions and stuff. So
yeah, and it's also good that some people just don't have the time to sit through 3 to 5 hour shows of CoCoTALK every week, and they might start falling behind on news and stuff. And this is one way every few months you can just get it all caught up in one shot in one
right.
reading.
You can kind of look at the thumbnails and if I like this, I'll click on the link. So it's a way to kind of skim. Go ahead.
A standalone magazine is a big ask, but as a newsletter from a nonprofit, this could live. It has a much better chance of succeeding than 5 guys want to do a magazine.
Right. Well, it has continued since 1985. So this publication's been around for a while. It's a tradition. It's an institution and a legacy.
It's a good place to put more effort, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So
now, one thing actually, since John's on here, I don't know how much you know about this, John, but I know like the Amiga community has actually got an actual physical print magazine that's printed in the UK.
Oh yeah, but I mean, let's be honest. The audience for the Amiga is an order of magnitude larger than the audience for the CoCo.
Yeah, especially in Europe. But one thing I was finding interesting there is that Pixels at Dawn just announced that they're actually going to be sold on newsstands again.
Yeah,
not just as a private.
They were featured in the Guardian last week as part of a renaissance of video game print magazines that are returning to the newsstands, especially retro-based ones. And of course, Retro Gamer sort of started that trend, but now there are platform-based magazines for Sega, the MSX, the
Sega,
64, the Spectrum. But again, all of this is Europe-focused, where traditionally magazines were so much more of a developed ecosystem there. I mean, there were probably at least a dozen magazines solely focused on the Amiga, in the heyday of the system. And we've never, for any computing platform, we've never had that kind of ecosystem. We don't.
Yeah, like the CoCo maxed out at 5 at one time, and where all 5 were going was literally a span of like 4 months before some of them started kicking off. So
yeah.
But I was wondering, like, if there's some generic retro magazines that maybe getting Dragon and or CoCo content into them might be something that we can at least participate a little bit in. Because, like, you're right, I don't think we'd get the the critical mass to actually physically print a real magazine.
Well, you have to find. I mean, Retro Gamer would be the most obvious solution, and there might have even been Dragon features in Retro Gamer. But the thing is, I mean, the writing on that magazine is very, very good. So you'd have to find somebody that was a legitimate writer that would craft something that could be featured there. That said, I'm sure that there are people within the CoCo community that fit the bill. It's just a question of whether they're motivated to do it or not.
Yeah, I definitely know the writing skill for that kind of thing, as you can probably tell by hearing me talk. I mean, I can go grab the newsletter. There's 77 pages of goodness in there. Have they figured out who the next newsletter editor is going to be?
I have no idea.
You just completely kicked the can to the curb and got out of there?
Yeah, I had to.
How many hours do you think it took you, for each one of these, Stevie? I can't even imagine.
Well, the problem is, so historically, historically and even currently, I fall into one of two categories. Either I'm not busy and I'm just perpetually lazy and perpetually put everything off to the absolute last minute. That's the normal me. But then the new me is I'm just perpetually busy, legitimately, with work and life that I haven't had time. So then it's still put off to the last minute, but not because I'm lazy, because I'm busy. But either way, it's always, it's like the 11th hour crunch to try to crank out everything. And so it's a labor of love, and I have not been the only person working on it. Alan Murphy was the one compiling all of the news and grabbing screenshots. Tim Lindner was helping me do some massaging of the document and things like that too. So there was a team working on it. But if I had to guess in hours, I don't even know. I would have to say, 30 to 80 hours of stuff, only because I spend a lot of time nitpicking over white space and how things flow over pages and stuff. I don't like I don't like there to be text without a picture. I don't want the text to be on one column and the picture on the other. So I really obsess over having everything flow in a way that makes sense to me. So a lot of that is time that probably didn't need to be spent. It's more OCD time, but yeah, I'm not sure. But a lot.
I'm sure.
Yeah. All right, what else is going on in the news, Curtis?
I was just going to say, Alan put in the chat here. He said just the screenshots alone were 2 to 4 hours a week. So it's a massive undertaking.
Yeah, it's a labor of love. And again, we have, ultimately though, the task of rendering the document is still tedious of copying, and not only it's just copying and pasting, but then formatting and flowing and all kinds of stuff. So yeah, it's even having multiple people spending multiple hours, it still ends up being a lot of work. So.
Hey, I was watching The Last Kingdom on Netflix, and they had a dragon moment when they mentioned a character called Cuthbert.
Ah, neat. Okay, color computer programming. How to create a video game, walls or boundaries that can't be crossed by a joystick-controlled sprite. Okay, that sounds interesting. You're muted, Curtis. Are you talking to us or somebody else?
Yep, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
I was muted. Sorry, eh?
Yeah.
So color computer programming on YouTube has been doing these basic, live tutorials, basically. It's not scripted. He kind of, figures out what he wants to try to do, and then he kind of wings through it, and, sometimes that's correct his own mistakes, etc. So he put up a couple more episodes the last 2 weeks. I missed last week. So one was just, and this is all basic, so I don't expect like miracle stuff, but it's good for the beginning basic programmer to see, some of the trials and tribulations, figure out how to do things. So that's when he was checking, like, how do you check the bounds checks to make sure you're moving something that doesn't go across.
Me from crossing this line. You watch. I'm holding it there. It will not cross that line. Try it.
So anyway, this particular one was telling you like how to stop moving at once you hit the side of the screen, or if you draw some artificial boundary, how do you stop it at that type thing. So that was one of the videos he did. And the other one is he's kind of working on a graphical adventure game in BASIC with stuff that you can search. It's kind of more of an interactive. It's not a strict adventure game as in like type in a ton of text commands. So I'll just show a little bit of it. This
I want to take it farther.
Early on in development here, but
and show you what so that it starts in the bedroom. Yeah. So I don't have to go through the entire game to this point because you've already seen that. So now I am in my bedroom, okay? And with a 1
you playing hockey?
Machine, this is 1 megahertz.
He's got long leg elongation syndrome.
Oh, okay. That's the animation of walking. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if he was got his sweeper out there or his hockey stick or what. What's going on?
Yeah.
That's cool though. Just using the draw statement to do this kind of 3D floor plan. That's really cool.
Yeah, and you get to walk up and you can interact with various things on there, like open dresser drawers or look at the bed, etc. type thing. He's got a few rooms done, so I'll see if I can skip ahead to one of these other. And he goes through the listing a little bit, show you how he's doing things. He's got an inventory screen. And...
Okay, here's a different room. Oh, going down a hallway, maybe.
So I'm going to go over to this red door.
So the green door's open.
I'm going to walk past
red door is one that you have to open.
Door. We don't know what that is, but we know it's a door. And I'm going to come over to the second door because this door is shut. This door over here is...
And it's kind of like a developmental blog.
Yeah, no, that's neat. Game. That's neat. And
yeah.
You're doing it in BASIC. And so really anybody who wants to play around with designing a CoCo game can work with this. You don't have to be an assembly programmer or a super fancy coder. You can do it in BASIC. And there's some fun things you can do in BASIC.
Yeah, and I might give him some comments because I know there's some tricks you can do in BASIC where you don't have to do machine language. I think get put has that option for even byte where it runs a lot faster. So the redrawing would be quicker.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's aware of the speed up poke either, because that speeds up the ROMs even on a CoCo 1 and 2, so the basic program run faster. I think he's just running stock. So
right. So there's definitely some optimizations, but that's
yeah. But here he's just learning how to do the graphics.
Right.
Also designing a game that actually is a pretty interesting take on an adventure game.
Yeah.
Next up after that, Alan at AC's 8-bit Zone did a little 5.5-minute video here on ZIF sockets and adapting to the CoCo and going through the trials and tribulations he was getting trying to get stuff to work here because he wants a ZIF socket so the socket is actually in decent shape, but you have to get some converters because basically some of the ZIF sockets are meant for different shaped pins or different spacings, etc. here. So we kind of goes through the whole thing. I won't play it here. I'll let you guys go view it.
Right.
But,
So for those who aren't aware of that acronym, ZIF stands for Zero Insertion Force, and that was a neat feature on later model CPUs where you can kind of lift up an arm like a slot machine, lift up the arm, take the CPU out, let it fall back in. This gravity feeds it in, and pull down the arm to lock it in. And yeah, when you have to use the chip puller on these 40-pin DIP CPUs, those little almost like aluminum type legs on the CPU, they don't last forever. And if you don't pull it out gracefully and put it back in gracefully, you can definitely break some legs on these things. And that becomes harder to deal with CPU. So that's a cool concept of doing that on an 8-bit system.
Yeah, in this case here, one of the things he points out, the ZIF socket he has square pins. And he literally says, I'm trying to put square pins into a round hole.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, because he's desoldered that. Or is that, yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's a great idea, though. I mean, just having things socketed is definitely an improvement over having everything kind of surface mount soldered to the board. But a step above socketing is if you have a ZIF socket where you take less risk on wearing out the legs on your CPU,
Yeah. And plus, since it lets you lock the chip down, you can make sure you're getting good contact when you do have the chip in. Like the gimme will, for example, gradually work its way out from heat. And eventually you'll start getting some.
Oh, so he's doing some square to round conversion here, right? So, wow.
What was that, Rick?
Machine pins.
Hey, now I love those machine pins.
Ooh, David Ladd joined us.
Oh crap! You didn't even know I was here. I should have just kept quiet.
Yeah, too late now.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, it's an interesting video for you hardware guys there. This involves soldering and stuff, so I kind of stay away from it.
Yeah. So, beauty.
You can go check that out. Next up, Henry Reitfeld. I didn't even know YouTube Shorts were the thing. So he did a quick little video showing he got his hard drive, like a real hard drive, running on his CoCo 3 again. And he's actually got it in, it's one of the ones that was a bit lower power from back in the day. And he's actually got it running in his floppy case here along with his 5.25-inch drive. And now, as he mentions in the video here, that the fan is going, the bearings are going, so it's a bit noisy, but...
Quick look at one of my old school CoCo hard drives. Works great. Bit of a noisy fan. I'll have to fix that, but that's the hard drive.
Now, see, that's Sidekick. That's the program that the CoCo SDC was based on.
Yeah.
So Sidekick is the original text menu software loader for the CoCo.
Yeah. Yeah, because the SDC one is specifically for SDC.
Yeah,
so.
it's reading off the SD file system versus your CoCo
Just a quick
directories.
look at one of my old...
Yeah, that's neat. That's neat.
And I remember these were getting sold in the late 80s, like after the Burke and Burke came out and the Frank Hogg Eliminator and the Canton and stuff, that a lot of people were getting SCSI drives, IDE drives, MFM drives, RLL drives. And a lot of people, if they got the drives that were a little bit lower power and didn't draw their power supply too much, instead of putting in a second half-height floppy like a 3.5 or something, just swap out a hard drive and throw it in and power it all off the one. And then you have two controllers coming off, one for the hard drive and one for the floppy drive controller, which he's all got in his multi-pack there. So that brought back some memories.
TJ Ferreira is asking, are there any Dragon 3264 owners that are in the USA? I have a Tano Dragon, which is the US version of that. Any other people here have...
David Ladd, I believe, owns one.
David has a Tano Dragon.
Yeah, I got a Tano. I haven't really had a chance to fully use it yet, but...
I think Ron Delvaux does, too, though I think he's muted. He's probably busy at the moment.
Of course, we got a lot of people from the UK who have Dragons,
Yeah, Kieran, who is in the chat, I don't know if he still is, but he's definitely got one, obviously.
Yeah, the Tano Dragon in the U.S. is actually a 64K Dragon.
Yeah, they didn't sell the Dragon 32 as a separate NTSC-based system here, 60 hertz.
So yeah, I've been watching some of the Robert Sieg's videos. They're really cool. He's doing some really fast screen manipulation on stuff. It's really cool.
Yeah, so I mean, he's basically been learning 6803 assembly language and how to control from BG. So it's just one of his little graphic demos here to show the speed of machine language, basically.
Yeah, this is like a poltergeist moment. Carol Ann, where are you, Carol Ann? It's almost like, too bad we didn't have like grayscale. You could simulate like static on the CoCo, You'd have to palette hack this.
Some people did with P-Mode 4. You just flicker back between random white and black dots.
Yeah.
So he's done a couple of these, actually. I didn't play the earlier ones. He done some other ones, like you guys called Dot Chaser, I think was an earlier one. But this one was a bit more visually impressive.
Yeah,
With more
yeah.
colors, et cetera. So that's one I showed. And then the last update for this week, speaking of dragons, actually, Phil R.V. Smith's put some photos up here of John Whitworth's duplicating the Dragon beta board, which is that dual CPU, 760K MMU, basically the professional system of the Dragon was working on prototypes of when they folded. So he's updated some photos here with getting all the sockets and stuff here and the capacitors, which we kind of showed a little bit of last week as well. But in the comments section here, he has a new photo, and he mentions here he's actually got it mostly working now. The disk interface is not working properly at this point, but quite a bit of the rest of the machine is working properly. So this is the state it's currently in, at least as of his last post here on the 10th.
Yeah, a lot of chips on there.
Yep, including 2 6809s, and you can have up to 3/4 of a mega RAM in this sucker. So
wow, now those 3 slots in the middle, are those going to be like bus connectors for like plugging in?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is closer, actually, probably to a Gimmicks than it is to a CoCo.
Yeah, yeah.
At this point,
and
but it's
then
got an
I'm
80 column
assuming
card.
that's a power lead that's going into the board there that you can then kind of tap into to plug in a power supply. Is that what that orange thing with the black wires is?
Sure.
Looks like power. It looks like that's feeding power to the system board. Yeah.
Good guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, he just got his prototype boards. Like he's been scanning the original one from Dragon that they managed to rescue.
Right.
And he's been scanning it in, and then he got 5 prototypes made based on the scans, and now he's just kind of debugging the board to see what he has to fix. But so far, good chunks of it are working. It does boot. It just isn't accessing the drives right now properly. So
what is that all about? Yeah.
Boots the Chemist. Isn't that a place in the UK, I think?
That's a good looking board.
Yeah. No, I'm really looking forward to getting them getting this fully running. I would love to see them in action. Or if he starts selling the board itself, so people can actually run these. I mean, having a dual 609 or dual 6 are not even better, with a fair bit of RAM and MMU and 80 column card all built in. I mean, this is kind of like what the UK's CoCo 3 would have been, but even more so because it has some extra hardware features we didn't have.
Hey, Curtis.
Yeah.
What are the real world advantages to having a dual processor set up in a Dragon or a CoCo?
If you have the software that supports it, you can offset load tasks that normally the CPU would have to share, like say generating sound. So instead of having the CPU sucking like 50-60% of the time trying to jam out sound samples, for example, tell the second CPU, you go do that. I'm going to be busy running graphics in the keyboard and joysticks. Some people use them as graphics accelerators, where one CPU will just do screen updates, scrolling and moving sprites around, with the other ones handling all the rest of the code type thing. So it just depends on what you want to use it for.
And is this something that, I mean, because this is the first time that I've ever heard about a CoCo with a dual processor.
It's not a CoCo, it's a Dragon.
Or a Dragon, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. Is this something that happens frequently with Dragons, that people do these dual processor setups?
No, this was actually made by Dragon themselves, the company that created the Dragon. This was going to be their next generation one in '84 when they went under.
Okay.
So they had a few prototypes that's made. Now there is multi-CPU ones for the CoCo as well. Jim Brain actually has one. I think he's got 2 6309s on it, each running at 3 megahertz with their own RAM too, so you can actually have it do like 3D calculations or something in the background. And the main CPU just has to get the computed results to do a drawing or something rather than have to do all the math.
Right. That makes sense. It's interesting.
Yeah.
But
now it definitely gets complicated because you have to keep them in sync, right?
Right. The other
CPU
challenge
can't act on.
The other challenge is that this is an advanced hardware feature, but there is not a lot of over-the-counter software to take advantage of it. In this case here, a port of OS 9 would take advantage of that. But dual processors on a CoCo, there is no current over-the-counter software to take advantage of that. You'd have to write something for it.
I see.
Is that true, Curtis? Or
yeah, I think some people had fiddled with. Like I know the TC9 also had support for a dual CPU thing too. At one point, Bill and I fiddled with. We never really finished because the TC9 ended up folding too, just like the Dragon Beta did.
Right, but if you think about it, if level 2 can handle separate process RAM spaces, why not separate CPU spaces as well?
Well, the thing is, OS 9 level 2 on the Fujitsu FM77, for example, did support full dual CPU right out of the gate. And one was graphics dedicated, and the other one was the main operating system and user processes, etc. So there is existing OS 9 level 2 code that does support 2 CPUs, just not for this specific hardware or the CoCo 3 and Jim's specific hardware. So that would be the fastest route, where you can just take that existing framework that's already been done and then just adjust it to the hardware that you want to run it on.
Sweet.
Which I think is what they're doing. But there was a ROM that came with the original Dragon beta they got from Dragon after they folded that actually has some of the dual CPU stuff in there. And they have an early version of the OS9 Level 2 based on the Fujitsu one, I believe, from Microware that actually supported this as well. So this has actually got a bit of a head start compared to the rest of it.
Since you are somewhat familiar with the internals of Nitrous 9, how hard would it be for you and team ease of use to implement a second CPU support? Is that like a huge rework?
It depends on how extravagant we get. Like if we told it to just do, like, you make it a math coprocessor equivalent where it's doing all math, that would be pretty easy because we would definitely split out, okay, this chunk of code needs to move to this CPU and everything else stays here. Graphics and stuff, because you're able to switch windows, you have to be able to tell it to switch, this other CPU, like, don't draw that screen anymore, draw this screen instead because I want to switch with task on. So that gets a little more complicated. So it depends on what parts you want to have the multiple CPUs enabled for. Sound would be a good one because that you can run pretty well in the background and it has to run really fast anyway, especially if you're doing samples at a high, rate.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be the one I'd probably push first. I'd make a separate one where it can run at 3.5 megahertz, like using Jim's board, with its own 512K RAM for samples, and have it just jam out the sound as long as you had something to plug the sound into. Where basically the main CPU would just say, go play sample number 3 right now, and that's all it has to do. It just stores like a 3 into one IO address to tell the board. The second CPU, go play this sound sample. And then after that, it would just go back and you're updating graphics, reading joysticks, and doing whatever else. So some things would be fairly easy. If you want like true multi-CPU where the program itself is getting 2 CPUs running actual code, well, then you got to synchronize everything. This second CPU is trying to run this little chunk of code that's dependent with the first CPU. It's just like doing, if you remember the PC days of the dual graphics cards, the Voodoos and stuff, where you had to have them in sync, and you'd sometimes have weird tearing problems if they had the drivers not quite synced up, and that kind of thing would definitely happen if you're not really, really careful. So if you have them for dedicated, it's okay. If it's generalized, that's much harder.
I was going to say, it shouldn't be any different than how most of the multi-core CPUs these days are, where each core's got to be synchronized.
Yeah, but those have a lot of hardware assists to help that, which we don't.
No,
those CPUs are designed for that, so.
Yeah, this is something that technically was never released. So they're rebuilding something that never really was available to the public. Once it's done and it's available, a whole new journey of developing an operating system and applications for it still has to happen. But I think there's enough people out there to be able to do that.
Yeah, and the fact that Fujitsu FM77 did have full operational system support, the OS9 you get with that machine is dual CPU aware right off the top.
Right.
So you can use that as a base. You don't have to do it from scratch.
Yeah, it's neat though. It's neat that they're doing it. It's like
yeah, I'm looking forward to, this is something they've been trying to get going for a while, because there was a couple of Dragons that were actually in the works. The Dragon Professional was one that was meant more as a pure business machine, and this was like the really high end of one that was going to rival a gimmicks type thing. And both of them had prototypes made. Both of them they've been shown at some of the Dragon meetups and stuff. But this is the first time anybody's actually tried to duplicate it now. Right.
It would be kind of like if we were able to get a hold of the blueprint of what the deluxe color computer would have been, or and then just create it just because we can create it, even though it never existed and there's no over-the-counter support for it. Just to create something that almost was is still kind of cool, Yeah.
Yeah. Or like the original Gimme with some of the extra features added on, or the original RMS, Motorola RMS system that was going to be before the Gimme. You could do that fairly easily now with FPGAs, etc. But it's kind of cool having.
Yeah, it would almost have to be
historical and
because
future looking.
we went on a search for those RMS chips when we did that thing a few years ago, and I reached out to so many different chip suppliers that supposedly had that part number, and I think they're all just listing a part number from a similar source, and this person would have to get it from that person or something else. But I was never able to get any of those RMS chips in the wild, so I almost think. And again, that's not what I do. There's people who probably could have a better chance of doing that than I do, but I did take a crack at trying to find the chips, so I feel like those would have to be FPGA though, just to be safe.
Yeah, I think they were pretty rare.
Yeah.
They designed it originally supposedly to run on 6809 or 68000, and the 68009 side never did really work. That's one of the reasons they rejected it at Tandy. And the 68000 didn't really take off as a on-off and sold thing. There's a few systems I've seen advertised looking through old magazines that actually did have it, but not very many. It wasn't a mainstream chip by any stretch. Anyway, that's the end of the news for this week.
And that, as they say, is the news. Okay, we've been joined by Fred Pravacha. Hey, Fred, how you doing? Good to see you.
I'm doing fine, thank you.
I've been double fisting my fruit cups, so my coconut cup is now empty. So now to my backup now, I'm now breaking out my pineapple cup. So I've got dual fruit cups. I was prepared for today's show. So,
where does one buy a fruit cup like that? I'd love to have a pineapple cup like that.
Well, I had to get this one on Amazon, where I get just about everything, but it's a cheap, crappy one. The one that Tim and his sister had actually looked really good. They were fuzzy coconut cups, and I think the ones that Amy and Taylor had were good. So this is the cheap, crappy thing that I found. I want to find a better coconut cup, but actually this one I got at the fair last weekend. Really? We were at our county fair, and there was a place that was selling iced tea by the jug, and if you bought the collector jug, this was the jug I got. So it was a freaking pineapple jug. So I'm drinking my iced tea from a jug. So cheers.
I like it.
Yeah. What's going on, Fred? Anything doing exciting with you?
Well, I thought I'd jump on to give a project update on the control program. I don't know if you want to do it now or do a little bit later.
We're kind of in the updates and acquisitions part of the show. So
okay, cool, very good. Yeah, I'll jump into it then. I'll if I may share my screen.
Yeah, you got 13 seconds, so use them wisely. So
okay.
12, 11.
All right.
0-hour countdown.
Right.
Okay, so here we have multi-view G shell.
Yeah.
And so to get to control, of course, you go into the little Tandy menu here, and you select control. And now, last time I gave a project update, basically I was at the point where you could jump from one tab to another, but that was about all you could do. You couldn't actually do anything or change anything yet, but now you can. And so you can,
80 column.
These buttons are now active. They do stuff.
Nice.
And over here you can change the palette of the G shell screen. Let me get this out of the way. There we go. And so you can, change the values of each of the palette slots. And
hey, my eyes are starting to hurt.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
What it's for?
Hey, it's nuclear green light.
Yeah, it's a CoCo. You can never have too much green.
Yeah. Well, it's all green because, St. Patrick's Day is coming up, right? So I thought I'd make a green motif for the occasion. And so then this is the palette.
I like that screen.
That is nice.
This is the palette that the rest of the system uses for like applications when you run them and stuff. And now you can change the palette around very easily using the presets. I think I've demonstrated this feature before. It now works on this new version of.
It's kind of like themes, huh? Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a color theme. So like right now you've got this green motif or theme going on.
Kind of mint.
So you can.
It's kind of mint ice cream.
Yeah. And you can change it to, red.
Oh, that's for like the Valentine's Day.
Yep, exactly. Or, teal. I've got a whole bunch of them in here. You can
blue steel.
Spring.
Blue steel is nice. Blue steel is nice. That's one of my favorites, actually.
Nice.
I like that too.
It's a combination of blue and gray.
Yeah, it's a beauty.
So it's mainly blue with like gray highlights, and I like it.
Yeah, I like that too.
And so you can create your own new presets, okay, by just, here, let me exit there. You can, change around these values,
right.
Okay, all right, and, whoa, that's busy. See, there we go.
This is a dangerous feature, as you can see.
Yeah.
If this called this one the Ken Waters results edition.
Yeah, exactly.
Very hard to tell the foreground from the background. Yeah.
So I've changed the values here in each of the palette slots, and then you go back into presets, and you can save it, or by clicking Add.
Yeah.
Okay? And then you type in a new name, and then you've got a new preset, and it's added to the list here.
Yeah.
I won't do it now just because this is a really
bad
looking one.
It's
But,
No, this has to be
one of those. If you don't make a change in the next 30 seconds, I'm reverting back.
Yeah.
Oh, well, it won't do that. But if you try to exit the program, okay, save before exit, we're not going to save. We're going to quit.
Yeah, no, I'd
Okay.
set everything to black
Yeah.
and be stuck there.
Yeah. So now it's kind of screwed up everything. But if you go back into control now, you'll notice. Hopefully, yes. Okay, it reverted back.
It loaded it back.
Because
it reloads
because I didn't
saved.
save everything. I exited without saving. So, yeah.
So the active color set was there, but the saved color set's this one.
Yeah, and so there's settings for the mouse. Mouse port left or right, or high res or
High
low
res. One
Yeah,
of my favorites.
yeah, exactly. And second button equals the clear key. You can turn that on or off here.
That's to switch windows.
Yeah, to switch windows. Exactly. Keyboard repeat delay. Keyboard repeats key. The key
This is
click.
like the old Windows 3.11 control panel. It's really cool.
Exactly. That's kind of the idea is to create a settings control panel like what Windows has, and so whereas the old control program you could only use it to change certain settings in the system. This changes everything, or you have access to all of the settings that you can change through the environment file. Okay, that you use to customize G Shell and the whole system. So so you can, like I said, it's now active. So the changes you make can be saved when you exit the program, and it becomes permanent, right? So, like for example, if I go back into G Shell and I change it to 80 column, okay, now I'm going to exit. Okay, save. Saving.
I like the little snoozy icon there.
That wasn't me that made that icon. That was
one that
I
existed
found
a while back.
Yeah, I found it on the archive. Yeah. Anyway, so now if you now in order for that change to take effect, whoa, I don't know what.
Oh, look at that! That's cool.
Yikes. Okay,
this is the joy of live demos, folks.
Yeah.
Bill Gates.
All right. So now if we exit out of G Shell, okay, and then we run G Shell again. Cross my fingers that this works.
Yeah. Now we're in 80 columns.
Now we're in 80 columns.
We're still in the mint color scheme.
Because I changed the setting and then I saved it as I was exiting. And then when you're
there's no way to tell G Shell to do a real time refresh of itself.
There is. If you let's exit out of this. But well, there sort of is, I guess. If you go into View. Yeah, let's do this. Control 7. That works. Maybe it doesn't.
You clear off and come back on. Does it work? Oh, there you
go. So if you can change the screen resolution of G Shell just by going into the view menu here, but I think I see what you're saying. So if is there a way for G Shell to reload the environment file
after you made that
dynamically?
change? Yeah,
dynamically.
I don't think. Well, I don't know. Files. No.
Yeah, I'd have to add that in. I don't think I have that.
That'd have to be a feature. Yeah,
you would have to force basically partial reset, like when you first load
that would
G
have
Cell.
to be a feature that's
the reason it's not in there
right.
Yeah. The reason it's not in there right now is that you could do a temporary change for your current session only, which is when you didn't do the save, and then it'll leave the settings. Because if I force it to reload every time, you wouldn't be able to temporarily try something out to see, do my icons for my games look okay in this color set?
Yeah.
You'd be forced loading it every time.
Could you add a feature whereby you can, as the user, go into a drop-down menu from G Shell and force it to reload environment file?
Yeah, I should be able to.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe you could do that, perhaps. I don't know.
Fred?
Yeah.
How many more features are you going to cram in here before the code freeze before the next beta release? I'm just
Good
curious.
questions. Good questions. So there's a few things that that still need to be done. So, for example, these drop-down menus here, they don't work. So you click on one of these, and all it does is refresh the screen. It doesn't change anything. Even the file menu here, like abandon, quit. Oh, wait, this does work. Oh, wow.
Oh,
Okay.
that one works.
Well, I don't want to.
But we're hooked.
If I click on quit, you notice it doesn't quit. Okay, so abandon
Those are just
works.
hooks, though. Those are just hooks.
Yeah, exactly.
One line of code.
So I have to, and this is going to be making all these drop-down menu choices active and workable is actually pretty easy to do. That I can probably get that done in the next day or two. I can make all these work actually. Beyond that, this info drop-down menu is new. Let's go back here.
Which info drop-down menu?
The one far right. The one he's having a hard time getting his mouse pointer around.
Yeah, I'm trying to get. Okay, anyway, when you click on info, drop-down menu only has two things in it. There's about and there's help. Okay, so about, if you click on about, then a little overlay window will pop up that has like credits and copyright notice. Okay, and then help will have a help feature which is I'm thinking of putting together like a brief tutorial that kind of shows you how to use the new control features. I'm hoping to keep that small and that it doesn't get out of hand and become too big, because that could be a big project in and of itself if I get too crazy with it. And then, so that's really it. Just getting these drop-down menus to work, adding the copyright notice and the credits and the help feature, and then squashing bugs, and then it's done. So
Neat.
It's getting pretty close.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
Once you get those side ones like printer and stuff like that done too, I can remove those from the Tandy menu because you'll have that all in one single control program.
Yeah, exactly. So printer, this kind of I kind of followed the original printer program and how it's laid out, except I added a few more labels, and now the screen looks really busy. But I don't know. I might make some changes to the screen still. System, startup, all these work. You can change the values of these. Hey,
would fonts be in there in this list on the left?
The what? Sorry?
Fonts.
The fonts. No, you can't update fonts through control.
No, you just load those.
Yeah.
They're not anything to control. You load them or you don't.
Yeah, there's also special font sizes that G Shell itself uses. So if you start swapping those around, it'll start screwing up the display too. So
yeah, yeah. So like here's one thing I want to show you. Oh, not that one. Which one is it? Oh, let's go back to G Shell. Okay, so storage devices over here, RBF. So there's kind of limited space to enter these devices. I think the maximum allowed is five.
Yeah.
Right. So if you put more than 3, it puts the remaining ones down on the second row here. So because there's kind of limited space to enter all that information, I have a little pop-up window. So if you want to add a device, right now you have to retype everything. I might change that. But like, for example, if you want to add an X1, which is a drive wire device, and let's add something else. Let's add, I don't know, H2 or D0. Why don't we do D0? Okay. See, now it wrapped it around to the next line. And the same thing is with the output devices, SCF, like printer and And the term, what is it? Terminal? I forget what the T stands for. Anyway, yeah. So it's coming along. It's functionally done, meaning that except for maybe the tutorial thing that I'm going to add, everything that the program is going to be designed to do can be done through the program now. So I'm not really going to add any more features.
Feature creep is locked.
Yeah, except for the help / tutorial thing. I'm going to add that, and that's about it.
Yeah, and I should probably do some follow-up changes to G Shell to enhance it a bit, to like get rid of the printer and terminal options on the Tandy menu, for example.
Yeah, this is better.
Yeah, so I hope you like it. I'm definitely open to suggestions to improve it. If one thing that I'm constantly kind of reviewing is whether the what happened there? Interesting. Like I said, there's still bugs in here I still have to squash, but whether maybe some of these settings should be put under a different tab or not. In other words, do I have the various settings organized in the best way? Maybe I should move one setting to a different tab or something. I don't know. I'm constantly, going over that in my mind, whether I should make changes like that. But so yeah, any suggestions? I'm definitely open to it. I didn't close it out. I think the program crashed and closed out by itself.
That's a feature. It knew you were done demonstrating, so it just voice activated. So yeah.
Yeah. So hopefully this will, make customizing your Nitros 9 EOU experience easier and a
lot more visual,
more visual and more user friendly. Yeah,
absolutely.
So you don't have to go into the environment file and edit it
with the text editor.
Yeah, with a text editor in order to change settings. I'm hoping that.
Yeah, because some of the expanded settings that Bill and I have added, you have to edit it because there's no other support for it yet, except for in the text editor. So you're fixing that clearing.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, exactly.
That's amazing. Release a 1.0 and it can always be changed later.
Yeah, people got to test drive it.
Yeah.
So I think I'm going to call this Control 3.0. So like the stock version that came with the original multi-view would be like 1.0. And then the one that I released last year would be like 2.0, and this is 3.0. It's kind of how I'm thinking. But yeah. Anyway, this should be done well before Curtis's planned release date for the next release of EOU, and also well before CoCo Fest.
Okay.
So yeah.
If we need to get Brother Jeremy to sing a song to motivate you to release it, let us know. We can work on that. So.
This should be totally done, I'd say, within the next month. So, yeah.
Thank you, Curtis and Bill.
Mm-hmm.
And Fred.
And Fred. Yeah. Cool. Thanks, Fred.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you. Glad I could have the chance to show it off. Yeah.
Beauty. Who else has got anything to updates, acquisitions? Ron, were you going to show us your fancy new clicky keyboard? You're muted.
All right. So, see. Share. There's Ron's garage. Are you seeing it?
I see it. Yeah.
Okay. I was asked by Wayne to plug the T-shirt lady.
Yeah.
So I put that on, but you guys already covered it, so that's cool. This is the posting I did for the keyboard, and this computer was 128K. The old Mylar just quit, and I tried to open it up, and I looked at the Mylar, and I tried to hold it up to light and figure out where the breaks were. I couldn't find any. And I bought some that silver stuff, to put on the Mylar to make it work again.
Yeah, the conductive paint like they use on
couldn't do it. So, here's the keyboard.
All right, let me zoom in on you. Okay, so
Right.
from the
Here's
surface
the
we
keyboard.
can't tell the difference. Ooh, click it some
Nope.
more. Get it closer to your microphone. Get the keys closer
the
to your
microphone's
microphone.
up here, I think. Oh, it'll be here then.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But if you listen to another CoCo, it doesn't sound any different to me.
It feels clickier though, right?
No.
Okay.
It feels exactly the same as their OEM.
Okay.
Very
So it's,
good.
so it's not supposed to sound any better or feel any better. It's just works. Whereas the other one
perfect.
was worn out. Yeah.
But it's mechanical though, isn't it, Rick?
Yeah. If you look through the back, through the vent holes
Uh-huh.
here, like he was saying, you could make that switch to have a CoCo 2 version of the keyboard there. Right?
Right. The main difference in this one is it doesn't. The CoCo keyboard clicks, if you will, when it bottoms out. This
Okay.
one clicks somewhere in the down travel. And you can adjust where in the down travel it actually clicks. So there's a little bit of subtlety in it. If you're a touch typist, you might want it to click when you barely touch the key and not have to push it all the way down. You know, it's just it's a style thing. But
okay.
Yeah, I wanted it to just work.
Well, two things I'll say about the experience of putting it in. It's a little bit touch and go when you pull the this mylar out, and you put that piece on, and then you have to align it with the two pins that stick through, and you hold it with one hand, and then I have a shaky finger, so you take this.
Oh, we lost Ron. Ron.
Shaky internet
screw
too.
and you put it in the hole, and then you one-handedly put. Hello. Oh,
You're
am I
back.
Still there?
You're back. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, it's touch and go. That part is a little unnerving, but all the springs and everything stand up and stay there, and it does work. It's work. You don't have to go messing around doing anything. Make sure all the screws look like they're all even. And I didn't go and torque them any tighter. I just left it looking good. Turned it over and put it together, and it hooked it up to just composite, and it worked great. All the numbers, everything worked perfect. So I guess the only change would be to have Phillips head on those instead of torque.
Already arranged. Thank you, Mr.
Okay.
It's in the pipe.
Yeah, it's a good thing. Now, what's going to happen is some of my other computers might fail down the road. Then I'll have to keep track of where this is so I can pull it out and use it again. Because this thing will probably last forever, right?
Right. Should be millions of clicks. I forget 1.2 or something.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it should be type onable for a while.
Not
1.2 million,
though.
Neat.
1.2 million clicks.
Now, Ron, does
What
your
is the
version have the
MT
switch between switching the arrow keys?
Yes.
Have you tried that on
Yes.
games and stuff? Does that work okay?
No, you just have to stick something in the back, through the vent holes and switch it.
Yeah, I'm supposed to have an A3 printed
Probably-
lever to go in there, but I didn't get it done.
Well, that's good enough. Really, I'm not a gamer, so I'm not going to worry about the arrow keys or whatever.
So what happens when you flip the switch and you're switching the up and down with the Control Alt? The Control Alt become up and down too? Does it just swap locations on the keyboard?
It doesn't swap. It's just you have two up and downs. One is the control.
Oh,
alt.
okay. So you lose Control Alt if you do that.
Right, for the duration of your CoCo 2 game, you got no stinking control key.
Yeah, which that stuff was only really used by OS 9 anyway. So for RS-DOS stuff.
That's only used for CoCo 3 stuff because that was the only keyboard that had that officially.
Right.
So.
But yeah.
Yeah, depending on what you do, you may never need the CoCo 3 mode on your CoCo 3 because.
Yeah. No, that's cool. Yeah, I felt it at CoCo Fest last year, and it felt good. It felt clicky. It felt mechanically. So it felt better than normal CoCo keyboard to me, anyways.
Well, it's been over a year that this computer hadn't worked. And to get, when he showed it last CoCoTALk, I thought, I'm ordering it right now.
Nice.
So I did. And ordering it was perfect. There was no problem at all. But on my particular computer, it froze right after I pushed the buy button. It just kind of froze. So I had to reboot. I don't know what happened. It was the first time it's ever happened. And then I told him, make sure you send me a receipt, would you? And he did. And also, he sends you a printout of easy instructions, which I will show here. I don't know if you can see, but basically you get one printed sheet. You get the screwdriver, which is an Allen key, like this.
Okay.
And then you get a packet with all the screws in it,
Okay.
in a special container that he made.
Okay.
And then I got my receipt. So
nice.
It was great. And it came pretty quick. I ordered it, it came, day before yesterday. Where do you live?
Milwaukee.
I'm in Arizona. So it came pretty quick.
Nice.
And like I say, I put it together before I took pictures because I was too excited to get it going. And I didn't take any pictures of actually assembling.
How long did it take you to swap it out?
Within half an hour.
Now it has a replacement edge connector to go back into the motherboard too for the keyboard connection itself.
Yep, it fit right in.
Yeah.
I didn't have to play with it. Yep.
Yes, we are using actual wire ribbon cable and a little circuit board on the other end, so it shouldn't wear out, break, crack.
High quality.
And then he also mentioned you can spill on it and it would be okay.
All right, beautiful.
We don't recommend you try that at home all the time, but
right.
All right, who else has got an update, acquisition, anything to share? Anyone?
So here's something that kind of ties into that.
All right, let me spotlight you, Rick. Okay.
KiCad lets you shrink things, right? So I shrunk the keyboard down as small. This keeps the original component sizes. And so here's a Raspberry Pi for scale.
Wow.
I don't know why you would want a working keyboard and a Raspberry Pi in a box approximately this size.
Nothing like the Pi 400.
This is the Pi 4.
All right, yeah. So it's almost like you're making a Pi 400 now because that has the keyboard and everything. Yeah.
Plug the keyboard into the Pi, and you got a working CoCo, except for the little bit about writing the code.
Well, so here's the thing. So John Strong has that 3D printed case to put your Pi 400 keyboard in.
Right.
And then it also has the little holder if you want to put a Pi 4 in there and use your own keyboard. If you could make that keyboard work in John Strong's case and make it USB, then boom, it becomes a Pi 400 keyboard for a case that already exists.
Right. This is a little bit different project because it's just a CoCo keyboard. So I'm going to need the Pi's hardware bus to decode the keyboard.
Okay. Or you could do a USB adapter.
Paul Fiscarelli's little keyboard adapter would be perfect for that project.
Interesting. I just thought it came out interesting. You could actually make a keyboard that a CoCo you could type with your thumbs.
Yeah.
You mean it would be MC10-ish?
MC10-ish.
Smaller.
Yeah.
About 3/4 smaller. I mean, it's, well, I don't have a banana.
Yeah, no, that's neat.
But yeah, I just thought it was interesting.
So what's the deal on that CoCo back there?
Oh, this is the one that I'm having trouble with the network card. Henry Strickland sent me a CoCo 2 that doesn't work with my card. And I've been...
Rick doesn't have any CoCos that don't work, which is really hard to troubleshoot.
So it's kind of hard to fix. So now I have one that doesn't work and a card that doesn't work. So once I fix that, I should be gold. At least I get to play with my now old oscilloscope and do some electronic-y things. Kind of a CoCo hobby sort of thing going on here.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see if we can nail that down, because, at this point, I would have to send everyone 2 of them and then say whichever one doesn't work, send back. And that's not a good business model. So
is that black thing with the shelf on it actually a light at the top?
oh yeah, that's my that's one of my diverted light system here.
Interesting.
Diverted or diffused?
Diffused, yeah. So there's 3 of them ranged around the room, so
makes more sense.
I don't end up staring at a light when I kick back in my easy chair, dead at the end of the day.
All right.
Cool.
Anybody else got anything? Updates, acquisitions?
Just want to remind everybody that CoCo Fest is only 2 months away, guys.
Go.
Only got about 15 tables left, so if you haven't reserved one yet, now might be the time to do so. And one other thing, too, I would suggest look into your stockpiles and see if there's anything you would like to donate for the auction, because we'll be more than happy to take it. And if you're not going to CoCo Fest for whatever reason, and you do want to donate something, get in touch with me, because we will pay for shipping fees for those items.
Oh, nice. I have one small update on my Tandy 1000 work in progress thing. So, I showed you guys that Tandy 1000 SX I got last week. I did take it apart. I did try to see if I could test the power supply by itself just to see if it would turn on. I posted some pictures in the Tandy 1000 group on Facebook. I got some feedback from there. Some people said that the power supply might not keep spinning if it's not connected to anything, like it might, shut itself down. So the 2 things I didn't have when I was working on it was, number one, I didn't have a voltmeter to test anything with as far as, voltage or continuity. I ordered one. I now have a voltmeter. The other thing I wanted to do is I wanted to remove the RF kind of tinfoil cardboardy bottom layer of that motherboard, and that had these little prongs that it was kind of clipped in with, and I didn't have any needle nose pliers, so I ordered a little kit of those too. So I'm going to go back to stripping that thing down, and then I'm going to be in the same point where I'm now starting to venture into areas that are outside of my area of expertise. So I'm hoping, of all our hardware knowledgeable people here, maybe I can do something where I could webcam it on Discord or something, and I get a few people to tell me what I should be looking for with this voltmeter on the power supply and on the bus and things like that, because I'm not exactly sure what I need to be testing, but I'll at least have a super stripped down, clean motherboard and power supply that I can hopefully determine what the heck is wrong with pretty soon.
I would suggest wearing a mask for the smoke that might come out.
Yeah. So
the CoCo Fest fix Stevie's CoCo here.
Yeah, but luckily too, I did reach out to Pedro Pena, Rocky Hill. So if I can't figure it out, he's more than willing to look at it for me, and when his schedule permits. And if I'm going to do that, I'm going to probably line up a few other CoCos I have that have miscellaneous issues with RAM or keyboards and things like that, and I'll just come up with a little small stack of things for him to bring back and work on in his spare time. But I do want to try to see what I can't figure out on my own with this thing, because it'd be kind of fun. And what I fear may happen is that I may actually start to dip my little pinky toe into the water of that which is minor, technical operations of soldering and desoldering and probing, at least with voltmeters and stuff. So I might start getting into the shallow end of the hardware retro pool. Who knows, right? So
CoCo repair in Florida.
I'll never be a circuit designer, but I might turn out to be a competent tester and possible solder desolder person. Who knows? There's hope, right?
Well, you definitely won't burn your hair. So
you're gonna have videos like that guy that burns up stuff and shocks himself. And
oh yeah, right.
It'll be the CoCo version of Jackass. That's what he'll be.
Right.
I thought that was just CoCoTALK.
Hey.
All right. So anything else? Anyone? No? Okay. Well, short show. It's amazing what we can do when we don't have an interview, right? We can
Can
actually.
I just say one last thing?
Sure, Rondevo.
We facts.
We facts. All right, everybody take a drink. Everybody take a drink. We facts. All right, cool. Dave and Sharon says the voltmeter is our friend. All right, that's Mr. Dave. He should know. I can't believe it is. So also just on the kind of personal news which I mentioned to you guys before the show. So one of my challenges is every year I always say I would love to drive to CoCo Fest because I can hopefully bring stuff down, bring things back. But for me, driving from Florida, it's an 18 to 21 hour drive, which I don't want to try to do in one day. So then it becomes a 2-day thing, which for me means it's a 6 days. It's a 6-day trip, right? 2 days there, 2 days at CoCo Fest, 2 days home. The problem with me being self-employed and I have to provide support for my business clients, I do IT support. Anything can and will happen. I might need to be somewhere, and it's hard to be somewhere in Florida when I'm up in Ohio or whatever, Illinois, where I'm at, right? So that's been the challenge, is being able to break away from that. But I am trying to negotiate a kind of retainership with another person like myself who's local, who does, on-site repairs. So I'm hoping that I can just say to this guy, hey, I'm going to CoCo Fest. I'm going to throw you a couple $100 to be on call. And if they need me, I need you to drive your happy ass out there and take care of whatever I can't do remotely. So I'm hoping with that relationship, that will open up the doors of me making more of these road trips to these events like VCFs and CoCo Fest, because it is nice. There was a time I was at VCF Midwest, I could have got a full Apple II system with monitors and all that kind of good stuff for not a lot of money, but you can't put that on a plane, So it'd be nice to be able to make that spontaneous purchase and know that you can drive it home. Or like I've got things I have to bring this year. Like a couple years ago, I got for Eric Canales, and they've been sitting in my garage forever, but I've got 8 Laserdisc players, and these things are like 9 foot wide. They're Gigunda Laserdisc players, and I've got a stack of them. There's no way I'm ever going to get these things to Eric unless I drive them. You know what I mean? So I've got to drive to Chicago one of these years, right? So we got that going. I've got this the Motorola development system. I think I was going to bring that up and show that off, and maybe let Jim Brain hold on to it so he can parade it around to the shows that he goes to, because he goes to a lot more Midwest shows than I'll be able to attend. So I've got a bunch of stuff I need to bring up there. So I'm hoping to be able to drive to CoCo Fest this year, if all works out with that. So that's a whole other challenge, right? The 2-day drive, but that'll be fun if I can work out that challenge.
$9 a gallon.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that might be a deterrent at that point too, right?
Yeah.
The price of gas and the number of miles per gallon, that might. So.
Well, has the price of gas started hitting the airline flights yet? Because that's going to happen too if it stays up.
Not sure.
We're high.
I'm not sure.
Nope.
So everything too. Speaking of ZIF sockets, right? When we were showing that off earlier, I was trying to compare the CPU on my Tandy 1000 because I had pulled one out of my other Tandy 1000, and I did not pull it out completely gracefully. So I did have a bunch of crooked legs on there, and I have these like plastic guitar picks that are kind of like for opening up smartphones and things like that from my little mini computer repair kit. And these little plastic guitar picks where I was able to like pry out the legs and straighten them up and all kinds of stuff. So the most unlikely of wedge tool, I was able to kind of fix some computer legs on that CPU. And the thing that I thought was really interesting was, of all my Tandys, all of the CPUs are not made by Intel. One of them was made by AMD, and the other one I think was made by Siemens. So they're like third-party makers of the Intel. But it does say on the bottom, copyright Intel 78, but the manufacturer name is different on both of my 2 different Tandys. One has a AMD manufactured Intel chip, and the other one was a Siemens manufactured one. So I'm like, wow, that's go figure, right? So
in fact, AMD's entire reason for being was to be a second source for Intel chips.
Right.
So everyone buy Intel.
Right.
Live. So
back in the day when the federal government required 2 sources, like it did.
Okay, so we have some suggestions from Chris Duras here. He says, CoCo Fest in Florida, great idea. It'll be the antidote for CoCo Fest blues, because he wouldn't do another one in November, but in sunny Florida. We could do it on a cruise ship. The CoCo. The Coco Fest cruise, right? Oh my
Great
God!
idea.
Right?
I love it.
We might get a copyright hit for that one.
We could do it. We can do it. I believe in you. All right. So, all right, cool. We're going to press the button, Frank. Thanks to everybody for being here in the live chat and on the panel. Mark O. and L. Curtis and Patrick Hewlin and Ken Waters and John Schaller and Ron Delvo, Fred Provancha, Nick Marentes, Alan Murphy, Mark Bosley, Grant Leedy, David Ladd, and myself, and to Chris Duras and B. Rye and Mr. Dave and David Craker and Retro Rewind and Mark Siegel and Erroneous and TJ Ferreria, that's the excitable MC10 guy, and Sixy was out there, and Rocky Hill, Pedro was out there, OG Hugo, who said he was the biggest fan of Amy and Taylor, and so many people out there in the live chat.
Amy was in there earlier, too.
Tom Eric Gunderson, Amy was here. There's so many people in the live chat. Can't get them all. Dave and Sharon, Daddy Burrito, Rocky Hill, Erico was here earlier, and Mark Siegel, and Fractal, that was Amy, and John Mounts was here earlier, and D. Bruce Moore stopped by to say hi. Explore was here. So many people. Not enough time to thank them all. Amy said, woo, yeah.
If you guys get a chance, go to Show Us Your Tandy Color Computer. I put a whole bunch of people's pictures, of various old pictures of people playing on a CoCo. And it's pretty interesting to look at.
Okay.
Check it out.
Show us your candies. All right.
Also, a reminder for next week that Tim and AJ will be our guests from the
Tim and
Sibling
AJ will be
Rivalry
our
podcast.
guests. There we go. Erico Monterio is still here. He's good. Amy's here. David Craker's here. So many people. Scott Cooper. You name it. They were here. All right, we're going to play the outro. I've got to fix this because I didn't fix it from last week. Last week, the outro was playing the CoCoTALK After Dark. Oh, Maiden Ariana says hi. She's been watching too. And we were just showing the pictures from VCF from last year. We got to meet Maiden in person. Nice to meet you and nice to see you again, Maiden. John Mount says I'm still here. All right, so I'm going to hit the outro. It's going to start off with the outro, After Dark outro, which I'm a fan of. But we're going to fix that so we play the normal outro. So hold on one second here. All right, hold on 1 second while we fix the After Dark outro.
This concludes another episode of CoCoTALK, the world's leading live talk show featuring the Tandy Color Computer, MC10, and Dragon systems. For all things CoCoTALK, visit us on the web at CoCoTalk.live. We'd love to hear from you. Send feedback, suggestions, even segments via email to CoCoTalk at CoCoTalk.live. Consider supporting the show with a purchase of merchandise from our retro swag shop at 8bit256.com. If you'd like to become a patron of the show, click on the Patreon link on our website, CoCoTalk.live. CoCoTALK would not exist without the community, its cast, crew,
I'm trying to
and
line up some other game
contributors.
developer
Thanks go to
interviews too.
Alan
so
Murphy, Amigos Retro Game,
see if I can
Bill
get them
Noble,
moving here.
Brian Joyce,
But
Brian
we're going to
Weaver,
get back to the schedule
Curtis
of only
Moore,
having no more than
D.
one every
Bruce
2
Moore,
weeks.
Danny O'Connor, David Ladd,
We need
Eric
more hardware
Canales,
developers
George
to put
Jansen,
Stevie to sleep.
Grant Leedy, James
Oh, we'll have some of
Diffenbach,
those too.
Jason Reichert,
There's a couple I've been
Jim
pursuing
Brain,
for a while here on the
Ken
game. I'm
Reichert,
hoping to
Ken
be able
Waters,
to announce something next week.
Mark Bosley, Mark Overholzer,
Smile,
Mikey
Stevie.
Furman, Mr. Dave 6309, Nick Marentes, Nick Marotta, Nick Marotta, Nick Marotta, Paul Fiscarelli, Richard Lorbieski. I just realized because how I changed things for After Dark. We're talking over the outro right now, and that's okay. Samuel Gimes, And that's Malibu, Steve okay. New York, Terry Steggy, Tom C, and many, many more. Please
Luckily,
help support
nobody
the
dropped
CoCo
any
community.
F-bombs, right?
A list of various contributors and resources are available at
I'll remember that for the next time.
That's IMA.
Wait, where's my yodeling pickle?
NUT.com. Yeah, 8 Bits in the Basement was here too. Hey, 8 Bits. Is copyright 2008 by D. Bruce Moore and Greg Sheeler. The new
He's our guy
CoCoTALK
from France,
theme song
isn't he?
is
Yeah.
copyright 2020 Oui. by D. Bruce Moore. Les Both Français. are mixed, mastered,
Yes,
and
you are.
produced by D. Bruce Moore. CoCo forever.
The Irishman from France.
Yes. All right. So yeah, because I was playing around with the outro and how system sound versus video sound was happening, as these guys were talking, they were talking over the outro, not knowing it, me not knowing it, and that's okay. Great show. Thanks everybody. I love it when I can be done and I'm not even hangry, and I still got time to. I'm not worried about what's for supper. I'm still on. I can actually plan what I'm going to have for supper at this point in time. This is a good show for me. When my stomach is not going crazy, it's a beautiful thing. Thank you guys. Thank you, audience. Next week we have the sibling rivalries, right? Tim Linder, that guy playing Dagrath like that idiot from the book, and his sister are going to be here. We're going to talk about they got 20 episodes already, and we're going to find out about that and all, as they say, as all the juicy details, right? So say goodbye, everybody.
Bye.